The Adriatic Coast and Misano, the venue for GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Sprint Cup. It's the third stop of the Sprint Cup season, and also it is a massive grid of cars. 2 races to look forward to, and it's going to be drama all the way. Sprint Cup this year has given us a variety of winners, and you can expect another wide open brace of races here in very high temperatures. Sunshine on Sunday and an evening race on Saturday. Valentino Rossi makes a welcome return to Sprint Cup, and he's going to be joined by Raffaele Marciello, who has yet to race a BMW in the Sprint Series. It's a multi-mark battle with different brands on the grid, and of course we have battles across the Pro, the Bronze, the Silver and the Gold categories. It's going to be hectic. The last time that GT World Challenge Europe was in action was the Endurance Cup, the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa that lost Lauren Heinrich early on when he cannoned into the back of the slow-moving McLaren of Josh Mason. The teams pounded on through the night, and as dawn broke, it was the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini that took the lead. Jordan Pepper, Luca Enschler, Mirko Bortolotti, the drivers, and they were able to fend off the challenge of the Rutronic Racing Porsche for a first ever win for Lamborghini, a brand that had never even scored a podium result in the race before. 24 hours of success then for Bortolotti, Enschler and Pepper. And last time out, the GT World Challenge Asia teams were at Fuji. Race 2 had Ben Green on pole position, and he took the advantage from Jordan Love and Leo Yi as Dan Arrow had a pretty tough battle with Ralph Aaron. Porsche 87 had won race 1 on the Saturday and therefore had a longer stop on Sunday, while there was drama here coming into the pit lane for a drive-through. Zhongwei Wang hit by the pseudonym Rio. That brought out a safety car, a one-lap scramble to the end, and when Mike Joe lost control and hit Wei Lu, they were out on the spot as Ben Green and Jeffrey Ibrahim came through victorious in the second race of the weekend at Mount Fuji. And that means in the Manufacturer Cup, it is Porsche ahead, but only just of Mercedes AMG. BMW M chasing hard, Ferrari 4th, and Audi is in 5th. So temperatures are starting to cool here at Misano. It's still warm outside, but it's not quite as sweltering as it was earlier on in the day, and we're going to be heading towards the darkness. The floodlights will no doubt come on before the end of our evening race here as the teams have made their way around to the grid. Our first 60-minute race, David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside, Alex de Guy down on the grid for us and then patrolling the pit lane. Biggest ever Sprint Cup grid. We have got 43 cars ready to do battle. It's going to be very, very crowded out there, and it is a Ferrari on pole position. Alessio Rovera in the car that he shares with Vincent Abril, taking pole outright, and of course in Pro, with him on the front of the grid, Dennis Marshall in the bronze pole car. The fastest gold, Chris Lullum, fresh from winning the iRacing Spa 24 Hours by, what was it, 22 thousandths of a second a week ago. And silver pole going to Ezequiel Perez Compang. There's going to be a lot to look for over the course of the next hour. Let's go to the grid, and Alex de Guy has found dignitaries from AWS over from America to enjoy the action.
Angelo, here we are on the grid of our biggest sprint race of the year. How much are you enjoying it?
It's great to be at a race, especially one in Misano, because the fans for sure show up, and sprint races are full of action. The drivers don't have to pace as long as they do in an endurance race, so they can really get out there, leave it all on the line, and they know that if for some reason it's not their race, there's another one tomorrow that they can come back and do it all again. So what a great format and a great type of race.
So GT World Challenge, powered by AWS. Explain that to me. Why is it powered by?
Yeah, in a world of corporate sponsorship, it's really easy to throw some money and just watch kind of where the dollars land, but AWS is the computing cloud, and there's a lot of things that we draw in parallel between racing and computing, such as the speed and the resiliency and the reliability, and so we tend to power things, which means that the league uses us, the teams use us, the analytics and the data that we gather are used to make driving decisions, to balance the cars, and to really participate in all of the technological aspects that make a league like this possible. Because I usually say that the coward's way out is we all get exactly the same car, and then you and I get to see who's the faster driver. But having all of the cars that leave the factory in a very different configuration that are then tuned to be able to create the same lap time is really the genius thing that makes GT World Challenge possible. And on the back end, the testing, the data, the math, and all of the individual calculations that have to be done for every car, for every race, on every circuit, is actually astronomical, and so that's why we power things.
Well, you're making it possible for us, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much for your participation.
Obviously, of course, it was a great partner, and we love SRO. So
have a great race. Enjoy it.
And AWS also powers our graphics. There is the Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello BMW heading to the grid. Our race vision powered by AWS graphics we'll be looking at during the course of the race. We're looking at this car a lot as well. Valentino Rossi doing a great job this morning to put that third on the grid. And Joe Osborne, to have Valentino Rossi as he waves to his fans on this installation lap, to have him doing the qualifying session and putting it onto the second row, that illustrates not only how far he's come as a driver, but the contribution he is now making to where that car is on the grid. He's not a passenger anymore.
No, and he was on pole position for points of the session as well. It was so close, and you can see how focused he is, and that's what he needs, getting around the paddock here at Misano. No easy feat. The Rossi posse is everywhere, isn't it? When you try and get around, there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of fans trying to get this man's attention.
Valentino Rossi then making his way up onto the second row of the grid, where he will line up alongside Chris Lulham for Emil Frey Racing, who out-qualified Ben Green, winner in Asia last weekend. So Valentino Rossi then strapped into the car, all good to go. And gradually the grid is starting now to build. There are still one or two cars yet to go. And in fact, the blue Ferrari there you can see nestling in the pit lane is the car that's going to be on the outside of the front row. Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner, pole in bronze. And Dennis Marshall, we know he's quick. It'll be no surprise to see him battling for the outright lead as the race gets underway. Chris Lulham, second row, gold pole. He's with Alex.
Chris, gold pole. Firstly, congratulations, but also you're right in the mix for the main race here. What's the strategy? Is it to get your head down and battle for the overall, or is it to maintain your gold?
I mean, absolutely, yeah. We're here to race overall. We're here to race for the win overall. Hopefully a podium, but it's not going to be easy. We've got some fast WRT cars behind us, so let's see what it has in stock. I'm sure it's going to be exciting in turn 1 or 2.
As the temperatures start to drop, well, I say drop, it still feels pretty toasty, doesn't it? But as the weather, it will inevitably change as it gets darker. How much is the track evolution going to affect you guys?
For sure, the track temps dropping towards the end of the day will make the thermal deg a little bit worse, but for sure we're still going to struggle a little bit on the front axle. So I'm sure it won't be easy to follow, but I'll be getting sweaty in there, that's for sure.
Yeah. Best of luck.
So Chris Lulham sharing with Thierry Vermeulen. That is a third gold pole of the year for Chris, the fourth of the year for the car. Vermeulen got an outright pole, don't forget, at Brands Hatch. Inevitably, everybody wants a piece of Valentino Rossi, and he's trying to focus and calm himself ready for the race ahead. And this Misano circuit, 4.2 kilometres long. And Joe, it's a flat circuit in many respects, but it's a quick lap.
It really is, isn't it? And we've seen so much good overtaking over the last decade we've been coming here. So expect some action spots. Obviously, the opening lap, this sequence here, 1 and 2, is going to be a huge talking point. But then it flows into 3 and 4 is another overtaking point. So is 8. So is turn 10. Then this long back straight into an ever-tightening quadruple set of right corners. Then the last corner, really the exit there, track limits, has been a very hot talking point so far this weekend.
And it's quite a long pit lane as well, because you come into the pits before the last corner and you blend back in the other side of that shot, in fact, coming through turn 3. So there's a lot of driving down the pit lane. Of course, the pit stops are as quick as you can do them, unless you're in bronze, where they are done to a regulation time. Now, WRT has a great strike right here, so also does Charles Wirtz. Let's hear from him with Alex.
Charles, so a 9th win would crown you official Mr. Misano, but how hard is it going to be to do that from back here?
Oh, well, that would be a very, very nice thing to have, for sure. But yeah, I mean, as we can see in qualifying, the competition is very, very tough. Yeah, there's been also some BOP adjustments which seem quite strong against our own performance. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to talk about that. So anyway, we will just focus on having a great execution, as we always do. Hopefully we have the pace, and yeah, just a great pit stop. And if we can get this 9 wins, I would be obviously very, very happy.
Good stuff. Powers are on. Thank you, Charles.
Charwitt then is going to start 6th on the grid, and Kelvin van der Linde will take over that car. They are, don't forget, the championship leaders. We've had 4 different winners in 4 races in Pro. We've had 4 different winners in 4 races in Silver, 3 different winners out of the 4 races in Gold, and 2 different winners in Bronze. And if you think, oh, well, don't forget, we've only had 2 races in Bronze. They weren't at Brands Hatch. So actually, what we've had across 2 races at Brands, 2 races at Zandvoort is a wide open season so far.
Yep, and that's the beauty of balanced performance, so well managed now by SRO. That's why we're able to see all 9 manufacturers represented here. So tight. Ferrari have been strong so far this weekend. Vince April looking a bit puzzled. There's been talk, hasn't there, of rain in the area, and he looked like he was looking to the sky there. The humidity rising. It feels like there could be a storm brewing to try and clear that as finally the 74 Ferrari makes its way to the front row.
And you can see how busy the grid is of teams, of VIP. And look how many are around the Valentino Rossi BMW. Raffaele Marciello feeling as Maxime Martin did. Don't forget about me. I'm involved in this as well. But it's all eyes on Valentino. Behind that BMW is Ben Green's Ferrari, then Patrick Niederhau's Porsche, and then Maxime Martin's Boots and VDS Mercedes on that 5th row. Let's go to the grid again. Alessio Rovera, pole position with Alex.
Alessia, here we are, home race. How important is this race for you guys going into the second half of the season?
Of course, it's super important because, as you said, it's our home race. We started the year really well in Brands Hatch with a win, and Zandvoort was a bit difficult for us. So to start in pole position here is amazing. But yeah, 1 hour race, full push from the beginning, and then we'll see.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster season for you boys, and it's about time that the Ferraris got back up on the top step. How big is your competition with the Bronze boys next to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as a Ferrari, we are all fast. Our car suits really well this type of track. So Dennis is racing in Bronze category, so I hope we will not fight too much because there is a race to win, and we will give our best.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And that point that Alex makes about up and down sort of a season, a tough season. It started with a win in race 1 at Brands. They were 19th in race 2. They retired at Zandvoort in race 1 and then got 14th in the second. So from a brilliant start, it's gone downhill, and it does need to rebuild in these 2 1-hour races this weekend. So we've got a gap on the grid there, have we not? Next to one of the Boots and VDS cars. That is the Paradigm Max Ooston BMW that I don't think I saw.
Yeah, 992, so you might just see it in the garage on the left as well with the drone there, but that is still in pit lane, so that's obviously had a problem. So best case scenario, they're going to start on pit exit, and that will be a huge loss for that team, as we see van der Linde there ready to go. And it's quite nice when there's a driver like Rossi on the grid, because it does take a lot of the action and focus away from you, so you're able to go through your motions. And obviously WRT's sister car, van der Linde, will be used to that.
That's right. So Kelvin van der Linde goes to ponder the second stint, which he will do. We've already touched on one Ferrari on pole position. Let's talk to the man on the bronze pole, also on the front row. It's Dennis Marshall in the 74 Kessel car.
Dennis, here we are, bronze, right on the front row, next to another Ferrari. How tough is this race going to be?
Well, we will see how tough it will be, but for the moment, I think from the heat it will be a bit more easy than the rest of the weekend, because I mean we're getting into the night more or less, and yeah, happy with the qualifying.
Why is it that Misano is suiting you so well?
I don't know if Misano suits me well. The last years it was not my favorite track, I must say, but this year it's working out quite well, so I'm happy with this.
To what extent is the car and the evolution going to change as we go into the night?
This honestly, so far, every time we drove in the night, we had a different balance shift. So sometimes you get more understeer, sometimes you get more oversteer. So you cannot say there's a certain pattern. I hope we went into the right direction. To be honest, we didn't change a lot in the car, so the car is always behaving quite well the whole weekend. So I hope it will also be like this now.
And to what extent is it a situation of sort of taking the risk ahead of tomorrow's race, or playing it safe?
No, I mean, for sure we have an okay gap now. If you look at the other bronze cars in P2, I think they are in 9th or 10th or something like this. But of course, you know, if you you let the other guys pass who are fighting for the pro overall, you know, you get eaten up. So of course we want to stick with the guys in front and be up there. And then once we have the pit stop, it's Dustin's job, and I think usually he's quite good in this.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And remember that the bronze Cup cars have to make a regulation time to their pit stops, so therefore they will inevitably drop away during the course of the second part of the race after the stops. That's Sven Muller, who shares with Patrick Niederhauser. They were the winners at Zandvoort, and we will very shortly be getting things then underway for this formation. That the grid's starting to be cleared. That big cheer, by the way, that went up wasn't purely for the 10-minute board. I think it was Valentino Rossi being interviewed and saluting the crowd, but there's no argument about who the fans are here to cheer for.
No, exactly. And getting on to Dennis Marshall's point about the track, different each time. Track tempers drop 20 degrees nearly since they were out last. That's going to be huge. But I was actually speaking with Tim Fulbrook as well, the SRO press officer, about we'd rarely get a weekend where it isn't solely Pirelli tyre. The session previous was using a different tyre to Pirelli. So those tyres are going to react quite differently, whether it was a full Pirelli rubber-in track or a different tyre brand. So I expect maybe the cars for the first 5 to 6 laps, as that Pirelli rubber gets laid down by our record ever sprint entry, it will start to evolve again. So there's a huge amount of factors at play here for all of these drivers to consider.
Arkin Arca there, just wishing good fortune to Lucas Auer in the number 48 Mercedes AMG GT3, last year's Sprint Cup and indeed overall champions, but they've struggled a bit for pace thus far. Let's hear from our number 63 Lamborghini drivers, Luca Engschler, Jordan Pepper. They won at Spa. What can they do here?
Luca, Jordan, we come off the back of what was an epic race in Spa where you made history. Firstly, what was celebrations like? How did you guys come back to earth afterwards?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we had a race the next weekend, so it was pretty easy to get back to reality. But yeah, to win a race like that, I think it takes a couple of weeks to settle in, and luckily we had a bit of a time to enjoy it. And just still talking about it today, but now the lights go green in a little bit, and then it's back to business.
Full business, back to focus again. Here we are, Lambo's home race. What can we expect from you boys?
Well, we try our best. Obviously, starting position is not the best. We have a few quick cars up front, but yeah. I mean, like you said, Spa was so great for us that we still feel the momentum. Everything is possible. Long hour to go, so yeah, we'll be fine, I think.
Well, look forward to it. Have a good race, boys.
Luca Engschler in the white shirt, Jordan Pepper then he's going to go first, as you can tell. And Dan Harper is also going to be a man to watch in the Paradigm BMW that is on the grid. That's 991 that he shares with Darren Lung. Together they won the British GT Championship a couple of years ago. Dan Harper, Carrera Cup GB champion, but was tempted away from Porsches to BMW, initially as a junior, now as a fully fledged factory driver, racing not only in Europe but also in America as well.
Yeah, going really well for the very nice Northern Irish lad as well. And he's been doing some mega moves over the years. He's one of those drivers, bit of a grenade, throws it down the inside and waits for it to explode, but seems to always make it clean and make it work. But he'll be hoping that his Paradigm BMW is A-OK, because the sister car's still in its garage. So we're now, 6 minutes away from the start of formation lap. They're really cutting it fine.
So it could well be that there is a problem that they're still trying to sort, and therefore by not trying to go to the grid and starting after everybody else, they can use that time to keep working. Maxime Martin then away from all the Rossi attention this time. We've got one more pole position driver that we haven't heard from yet. That's Ezequiel Perez-Companc, 14th and pole for the first time this year in silver.
First thing he says to me is, welcome to the sauna. It is rather hot in here, isn't it? Must be a very, very tricky position to be in under these temperatures.
Yeah, to be honest, it's quite hot, but I think we are quite used to this. You know, we train a lot in preparation for these kind of races, so yeah, just another one.
You've had quite a roller coaster season. What would it mean to you to have a good race here?
Yeah, I think at the moment we deserved more than what we are really having, so it's nice to be, on pole for this race, and for sure we want to win in the silver class, but as I always say, I think we have the potential as well to do well in overall, so yeah, we want to keep going forward, not only in silver here in P1, but also in overall, so yeah, we keep working hard for this.
Yeah, it feels like you've just had some bad luck, hasn't it, on your side?
Yeah, things haven't been working out as we want to, but the team is doing a mega job, Alex is doing a mega, season as well, so yeah, we keep pushing for these races.
Good, keep pushing, enjoy the sauna.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Alex Arco is the other driver with Ezekiel Perez Compact. They were the winners of race 1 at Zandvoort, the third race of the season. Track temperature dropping. It's 32.5 degrees. A lot of humidity, though. 70% now. Going back to this point about it feels like it wants a good downpour.
Yeah, and we're so close to the coast here as well, so it can come in relatively quickly. So the teams will be looking to react to that, but it's very difficult to justify a pit stop here. The pit lane so long, like you said, David, 620 metres at 50 kilometres an hour, over 45 seconds lost just driving through pit lane. So when we go back to the bronze category, expect them to lose roughly 15 seconds with their mandatory stop time of 80 in to out.
That is Jens Klingmann, who will get on board the 777 BMW that he shares with the very talented Omani driver Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, and they are 8th on the grid. And we know that Jens Klingmann is massively experienced, and he's helping to coach and bring on Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, who came from the British single-seater route into GT machinery. Looking down on the grid, VIPs and team members starting to make their way back into the pit lane. Mercedes, AMG, Ferrari, McLaren. We've not really touched on McLaren all day because they've had a tough day. Aston Martin represented down there. What else can we see? There's no Corvette, the SRO Motorsport team, missing this weekend for contractual reasons with one of the drivers. So that takes us to 9 manufacturers. But even so, 43 cars. That is quite something in sprint.
Yeah, a record entry, and around a relatively tight and twisty circuit, there's going to be a lot of action. Track limits will be rife, and we're just going to have to keep an eye on contact. Niels Vitic, the race director, has been really hard and fair with penalties so far this year, and dishing them out quickly so we know the result when the checkered flag falls.
And I think now drivers are on board. The Valentino Rossi fans are all good to go. There was the pit walkabout about an hour ago, which was really busy. The paddock has been busy with barriers to try and sort of form a walkway to get Valentino Rossi's autograph. The Rossi merchandise unit's been doing a roaring trade all day. But now, race face on. Drivers in the cars, away from all the hullabaloo, and they can concentrate on the next hour. Alessio Rovere then on pole position with Vincent Abril to take over, Dennis Marshall Ferrari, Valentino Rossi BMW, Chris Lullam Ferrari, Ben Green Ferrari, Charles Wirtz BMW. Bit of a pattern up at the front.
Yeah, there is. And what do we think is going to be the faster race car, a Ferrari or a BMW? BMW very strong in the straight, so expect them to be very quick. Sector 2 down the back straight is the longest full throttle period of this lap, but the Ferraris have been strong everywhere we've gone this season, especially at looking after their tyres. And then you look down the field for some more left field ideas. That Lamborghini that won at Spa on the 5th row, Maxime Martin winner here, Boutsen VDS Mercedes, that can be quick. Chris Lullam, like you said, won the iRacing 24 Hours of Spa, so he's got plenty of practice. Which car did he win it in?
It was a BMW, was it not?
Exactly. So if he can't be in the right car, at least he knows the opponents, right?
And it's a good way of finding out what the other cars are like, because the iRacing platforms and the Assetto Corsa platforms so realistic these days. It's a good way of understanding the rival car. There is Charles Wirtz then. He's on board. He's good to go. Of course, he's been a very successful Sprint Cup racer over the years, having won the championship in 2020, 21 and 22. He's a reigning IGTC champion as well, Intercontinental GT Challenge, which has a pause for breath after Nürburgring and Spa back-to-back, but then we'll be in action again in September for the Fuji 4th of the 5 rounds. There's the grid then, and 1 minute board now shown. Engines fire, engineers leave the grid, and hopefully that 992 BMW is going to start at the back from the pit lane and have to work its way through. The start driver for number 992 should be Maxime Osten, so we'll see what progress he can make, assuming that that car is healthy. So the last of the engineers head for the pit lane, and this is a reminder of who is on pole in which of the classes. Dennis Marshall then is on pole in bronze. Ezekiel Perez Compact is going to start from pole in silver. Chris Lullam is going to start from the gold pole, and the pro pole, the overall pole, is Alessio Rovere. That is his second class pole of the season, but the first overall pole, and therefore his first overall pole position in Sprint Cup history. Grid formed, grid cleared, and the leading car, the Maserati, is going to be driven by Andrea Bertolini for this lap, and then he will let the field go.
Yeah, we saw that emotional retirement for him, and driving that MC Extrema will be good fun for him. Interestingly, the McLaren that should be behind the 992, the 111 CSA car, should have to leave a car gap, so they will have to be careful they don't start too far up.
So, formation lap underway. You can see the light is fading, the lights are on, and they're going to be more penetrating as we get through the hour. Alessio Rovera then on pole position with Dennis Marshall alongside. It is Valentino Rossi starting from third on the grid, and Chris Lullam is going to be fourth. Ben Green, winner in Asia last week, fifth. Charles Weerts then championship leader is sixth, ahead of Patrick Niederhauser, and Jens Klingmann eighth, with ninth Maxime Martin in number 9 Mercedes AMG, and Jordan Pepper starts 10th. Dan Harper's Paradigm Competition BMW 11th, ahead of Riccardo Fella. Then Loris Spinelli, who always goes well around here in Lamborghinis. Ezekiel Perez Compact, the silver pole winner, next. And only 15th, the reigning champion, Lucas Auer, ahead of Arthur Leclerc. Tom Fleming, who had a big crash here last year, good to have him back racing. He's 17th on the grid in the Garage 59 McLaren, alongside Jamie Day. Then it's Dylan Pereira and Bastien Bus, who could well be one to watch. A gap where Maxime Mostin would have been. He's on his way down to the end of the pit lane, but Aurelien Panis is on the grid ahead of Jim Pla and Sebastian Ugard. Then you've got Christian Engelhardt and Benji Goethe in number 59 at McLaren. Mathieu Villagomez, class winner in the Spa 24 Hours, lines up alongside Eddie Cheever, ahead of Hugo Cook and Gabriele Piana. Then you've got Paul Everard and the returning Ricky Collard. Good to have him back on the sprint grid, last year's British GT champion. Arthur Rougier lines up alongside Luc Hartog, ahead of Klaus Bachler in the new to the championship Razun Northern Racing Porsche. He's got Jeff Machiels alongside him. Another newcomer, Mathieu Dietrich, alongside Lawrence Leclerc, who's had a class win this year. Gustav Bergstrom lines up alongside Ivan Ekelchik. Then it is Romain Andriolo and another newcomer to sprint, Sergio Setecamera, and Ghanem Salah Al Mahid, who didn't get a time in qualifying, is going to round out the grid. And as I say, that 992 BMW of Maxime Mostin is going to start from the pit lane. So Valentino Rossi concentrating hard as the cars work their way around on this formation lap, getting themselves into that side-by-side formation, ready for the start of the race. Cars working their way up from the hairpin at turn 14 through 15, and the formation lap at an end already. Such is the size of the grid when we run through it. It's taken the formation lap to get there. It's an all Ferrari lockout at the front of the grid. Are they all going to survive the rigours of turns 1, 2 and 3? We're about to find out. Race 5 of the season in GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup is go, and a good getaway is made by Rovera. Dennis Marshall tries to defend as the field accelerates down towards turn 1. Charles Weerts on the outside line there. Can the BMW dive through? Not easily. And he gets roughed up a little bit as Valentino Rossi goes third. There's one car skipping its way across the infield of turn 1 into turn 2, but it's Rovera that leads. Marshall is second. Rossi is third, and way out wide there goes Chris Lullam's Red Bull liveried Ferrari. That's got a little bit of damage already. He's around the outside of Maxime Martin, but Lullam has gone backwards and he's still in strife.
Terrible start from Lullam. He was slow off the line as Martin gets turned around. I think that could have been Klingmann in the back of him. Lullam was slow. Weerts was on the front foot. Ben Green has had a monster start, and now Lullam has rear right suspension. Klingmann has front left. This could go full course yellow.
Good indeed. I think it'll go safety car in fairness. Within the first 3 laps, there's a massive gaggle coming down towards turn 8. Something's got to give. Well, we've already got Maxime Martin off the road. Anybody else to get themselves in trouble? You can see a gap has opened up after the leading 6 or so. Maxime Martin's race then almost just an end. We've gone green, in fact, so looks like Martin has continued, but there with a very broken car is Chris Lullam. He is out of the race on the opening lap of the race. It all got very crowded coming down towards turn 6, did it not? And we know that Maxime Martin was spat out, so number 9 Mercedes is out of the race, and it looks as though we might be able to survive, at least for now. And we have a yellow in sector 2 because of Lullam's car that has stopped. We do go safety car then. Safety car call by Niels Vitic within the first 3 laps, go straight to safety car rather than FCY. So safety car will greet them at the end of the opening lap, and what a hectic lap it was.
That really was. Fella's done well in that lead. Porsche out of the group. The safety car going very slow. There could be a huge concertina effect here. Hopefully they can go. Klingmann trying to get that car back. Where was he hit? Was that somewhere at the start? I thought this was the car that turned the Mercedes and Martin around. It seems not, as cars are starting to concertina. We've seen a few cars lock up under braking as well. The Ferrari of Arthur Leclerc, is that smoking? The rear right seems to be not happy with some regard, but it was really the bad start from Lullam in that Verstappen car that seemed to unsettle everything. Tyre looks okay. It's the right side here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something rubbing. Is it diffuser onto the tyre? That's going to go pop relatively soon.
I think you're right. They're going to want that car in, aren't they? And by them, I mean the team, as much as the race officials, the scrutineers, won't want that to carry on, because if there's a danger of bodywork causing a tyre to go bang, then they'll want it in. We have then number 69 of Chris Lullam stationary. We have Maxime Martin's car off the road. and Jens Klingmann limping on.
Look at some of those gains. Benji Gurther into double digits, 26 to 16.
Tyre's gone.
Tyre has gone. So he will try to get to pit lane. He will stay on the lead lap. Interestingly, cars overtaking him, even though he's maintaining not a bad pace. Those drivers deciding he's going slow enough to overtake even under safety car conditions.
It's one for race control to ponder. So safety car is on track, and yes, you can see the rise or fall of various drivers there on the graphic. So it is Alessio Rovera leading from Dennis Marshall. We'll get the replays in a moment to piece together who did what to which and to whom. As you see, number 51, that Alessio Rovera clear of the melee behind, but Arthur Leclerc now heading as rapidly as he can to the pits. But the danger here is you go so quickly that you do damage. It's interesting that so many are overtaking. Jens Klingmann has given up the unequal struggle. Look at the BMW. That has parked trackside with more than just a puncture. It looks very lopsided, that car, like it's got broken suspension as well. So that got a big hit somewhere. Right, let's try and piece it all together. This is the start. So Chris Lallam is slow away, and round one side of him went Charles Weerts. That was the field blasting underneath the camera. Have a look. Lallam goes to try to defend, but it's too late. There's contact there, I think, as well. Now, Jens Klingmann's white BMW comes around the outside. So far, so good. Off the road goes one of the Audis by the look of it. And Klingmann there is okay. That's Lallam going way wide. Right, Jens Klingmann's BMW was going to go to the inside of Maxime Martin as they headed up towards turn 3. On the outside line there is Leclerc. He runs out of road, and coming out of the corner, yeah, Klingmann was sideways and then hit Martin.
Yeah, who was on Klingmann's left? Was that Lallam again? It looked like a Ferrari to me, but I actually think that was the damage to Klingmann, was the car on his inside as we go on board with Dan Harper. A bit further back. You can see Klingmann in front, so that's what we need to be looking at.
Isn't that Ricardo Fella?
That's Fella, but watch Klingmann out of this next set of double rights. There's a Ferrari on his left, I thought, and it's Lallam at this moment in time. Yeah. And it's Lallam's contact, I think, now that damages Klingmann. So Klingmann fires Martin, that's on Klingmann. Lallam hits into Klingmann, that's on Lallam. And eventually, all three have got major issues, and it's kind of Martin's the only innocent party out of the three.
And he's out of the race. So the incident is noted. Into the pit lane has come Arthur Leclerc, and the damage now is enough to drop it off the lead lap.
Yeah, I think some of the brake ducting has become unravelled, and that's what the mechanic's saying, that the metal wiring inside that ducting has wrapped itself around the uprights, and it's a right mess. And as soon as they go lap down, save the car and park up, there's no way back with 43 cars on the grid, and we've still got 41 running.
Safety car in this lap. So short, sharp safety car period. Alessio Rovera will be on his toes. So it was purely to make sure that there was no debris on the road and to get cars out of the way. And so as the field turns through, this is Chris Lallam way wide. He's already got a punctured tyre, and everybody has to try and swerve around him. Look at Klingmann's car. It's already got mega damage having been hit.
That's phenomenal driving by all. The shot of those cars firing into the next corner at 8 was phenomenal as we go back to green.
Here we go. Green flag, green lights, racing again. Way wide goes Valentino Rossi, almost joining his fans in the stands. Over the line, Rovera leads the way then. Marshall is second, third is Rossi, fourth is Green, fifth is Niederhauser, Porsche, and sixth is Charles Weerts as the drivers accelerate down towards turn 1, and now Rovera tries to rebuild the lead. Dennis Marshall chasing after him, but with respect, Marshall is not in the fight for the win, because that car will have to make a slow regulation pit stop. It'll drop out of the equation.
Tell that to Marshall to get a scalp of a Ferrari factory driver in an AF Corsa car. He will be flat out. Doesn't look like he's got the pace at the moment. Rossi looking good. The Porsche looking stronger than I thought it would potentially. Niederhaus. And just remember, these tyres will not be up to temperature. So we're going to see them coming through their range, getting fully into their working window. And then we'll see a secondary sort of showing of pace, and that will be really what we see for the race. After that shaky restart, it does look like Rossi has settled the ship and is gaining back in on Marshall.
And Ben Green then running in fourth place. Patrick Niederhauser's Porsche hanging on to fifth place. At the moment, the leading bronze, of course, is Marshall. The leading gold is Tom Fleming. The leading silver is Ezekiel Paris Compact from pole position. So, of course, Chris Lallam out of the fight in gold with that rather broken car. And that'll have to be repaired, ready for tomorrow. Thierry Vermeulen misses out. Of course, that was 2/3 of the Gold Cup winning team in the 24 Hours of Spa, the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, just 3 weeks ago. Battle is on here. Look round the outside goes Christian Engelhardt, trying to make that move against the Barwell Lamborghini number 78, which he does against Hugo Cook. So Engelhardt, very experienced driver, came from Porsches into Lamborghinis. Couldn't quite make it stick though, and has to drop back in behind.
Yeah, I think that let Cheever through as well on Engelhardt. So he was trying to attack, and then he gets overtaken. Rossi pulling away from Ben Green. Ben Green looking particularly slow on that first real push lap of this race. Is that his car just coming up to temperature, or is that going to be the theme? I can see Charles Wirtz as well all over the back of Niederhaus, less than 2/10 between them as they cross the line, so keep an eye out for that WRT BMW.
Okay, so there Dennis Marshall turning his way through. Very wide goes Valentino Rossi, but coming up now to turn 5. There, big battle on. You've got Dan Harper versus Ricardo Feller's Porsche with a bit of damage on the back of it. The Porsche through on the inside, and Valentino Rossi, the best of the non-Ferrari battle. There's a yellow in sector 3 now, which is the final sector of the lap, so somebody may be in drama, and it is Engelhardt who's way off the road coming out of turn 16. Now, was that with a little bit of help? He's gone around, he's found the tyre wall. Race control hoping he can fire it up and drive away. Otherwise, it's going to be another interruption as the leaders power their way down that back straight.
Something's happened with him and Cheever, because Cheever lost 4 places in that final sector. I saw Cheever down the inside at 14. I think they've got together 2 corners later as we see a BMW attacking a Lamborghini.
And that battle is then Jordan Pepper with Dan Harper trying to go all the way around the outside. Look, toe-to-toe they go. Dan Harper is on the wrong line, and so Engelhardt goes through and Harper switches sides. Jordan Pepper knew what was coming and quickly dives across the front.
Yeah,
full course yellow in 10 seconds.
And that's why we had the indicators on of Pepper. They had got that. That's to get that car, the sister car to Pepper, the number 1 Engelhardt. But Harper tried to get the move done on Feller. Let's listen in to Valentino's guy here.
Okay, you have to be very careful on track limit now, Valley. No more margin. So very careful on track limit. 3 track limit now. 3 track limit. Okay, so be careful. 3 track limit. No more, please.
That's a rather pained engineer, isn't it? Please, please, no more. But 3 track limits in 5 laps. Bearing in mind, we've also had a safety car. That is quite a lot. So, yeah, the team, you can understand why they're saying please, 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 because otherwise a penalty will come. Right, and there, the Lamborghini came across the front of Eddie Cheever and off it went. So he didn't so much get turned around with the Ferrari at the inside, it was on the outside, and the Lamborghini trying to come across the front. This is Cheever's view.
This will be a mega shot. Does Cheever actually pit manoeuvre from the outside is going to be my question. There's a slight contact here. Whose fault is it? It's Engelhardt. He has a wobble coming off the apex curve and just wipes himself off front of Cheever. So Cheever, Funny Illison and Engelhardt there just pushing too hard. The car having a snap of oversteer as it's launched itself over the curb. I'd imagine when it's landed, it's compressed the tyre, the suspension, and then it's just let go and high-sided him as we look at Valentino Rossi.
I think this might be quite a brief full course yellow because the Lamborghini is almost out of harm's way. It didn't look pretty. Just out of interest, Maxime Martin has got back in the race. He's last, but he is in the race. So an interruption like this helps to a degree because he can assess whether there's much damage done. But even though the car ended up spinning off and did get as far as the barrier, fair play. Maxime Martin didn't park it, didn't walk away in a huff. He's got back on track and he is going to try and rebuild the race with the help of Lucas Stoll. It's going to be tough, granted, but you never know.
Yeah, the problem is his fastest lap's 3 seconds off at the moment. Is that damage or is that just involved in traffic? We haven't had many laps. It looks okay considering it clattered the wall relatively hard. He will be feeding back to the team. Is the steering straight? Is it pulling left or right? Any strange noises? But at the moment, you wouldn't say that car looks like it's been in the barrier.
No, indeed. And the way that this race is going, you never know what might be in the system yet. If there's another safety car to bunch them up, that helps him buy back some places. So let's just remind you of the order. It's Alessio Rovera leading from Dennis Marshall in second. In third place is Valentino Rossi. It is Ben Green fourth. It's Patrick Niederhauser fifth. It's Charles Wirtz BMW in sixth, ahead of Ricardo Feller, Jordan Pepper, Dan Harper and Tom Fleming. Fleming's a class leader. Marshall's a class leader. Rovera's a class leader. And Perez Companc is a class leader. The full course yellow is ending on short notice now, and look at Dennis Marshall on his toes, much better than Rovera. Had a go on the outside line. There was no real need to do that, but he's a racing driver.
Yeah, he had to fill the gap. He wasn't going to lift off. Rivera was clever there with his positioning of the car. He just put it to the inside, so if he did get caught napping, he was already defending, and that's just the difference in the engineers calling it. It's over the race control radio too. How brave are you taking the limiter off from the 80k? Ben Green has definitely dropped back off the back of Rossi. Rossi in his own space needs to be careful of track limits. He's the only car in the top 9 with any warnings, and he's got 3.
So it's not looking great in terms of Valentino Rossi if he stays in that early aggressive mode using the curb. Big battle going on here. Look, between 21 of Jamie Day and Ezekiel Perez Companc, and that's for the lead of Silver, and it changes. Jamie Day goes through. The Aston Martin picks up the class lead, and you've also got Benji Goethe there on the inside line trying to get past the pair, which he does, so good move. Through he goes, and we understand from people trackside there's a report of a bit of light rain starting to fall now, so that could be something else just to throw this race into the air. It's been dramatic enough already. We've only done 6 laps. We've had a safety car, we've had a full course yellow, and now 1 or 2 spots of rain starting to fall as well, and some of the teams were expecting that to come. Ricky Collard said he'd been doing a kind of rain dance, so 1 or 2 spots of rain as the cars then head towards the completion of lap 7.
Bastian Boost here in the Porsche is trying to throw some shapes and seeing if they stick at the moment. Side by side racing for quite a few corners. Very fair between the CSA, McLaren as well. And we're seeing a real juxtaposition of qualifying to race pace, aren't we? I think that's why we're seeing so much drama. That's because the track temp has dropped so much. We had different tyre rubber manufacturer before. I think these drivers are struggling to extract the most from the car, and it's making amazing viewing.
Absolutely right. As that towards the end of the lap they come then. The race vision powered by AWS graphic telling us that Dan Harper has the top speed better than anybody else's at 255 kilometres an hour ahead of Romain Andriolo's Mustang, ahead of Benjamin Goethe's McLaren, Arthur Rougier's McLaren and Charles Witt's BMW, and there's another good BMW battle building up here between Witts and Harper. They are chasing after Niederhauser, who has now lost his Porsche class lead, if you like, because Ricardo Feller, who is way up the curve in the red and white 911 up the road ahead, he now has gone up into 5th, so you've got 2 Bronze Cup cars in the top 5. They're going to fade away because of the nature of the Bronze Cup pit stop, where it's done to a time. But it just illustrates how quick the likes of Marshall and Feller and Harper in a Bronze Cup car really are.
And how quick your luck can change. Harper was trying to overtake Feller before that safety car, and now he's 3 cars behind him. So Harper will be on the front foot, but he's got to clear Wirtz, as we see Fleming, who's had a good start to the race, leading the Gold Cup at the moment. He'll hand over to the very fast Louis Pret as well, a new lineup for that car this weekend.
That's right. So there is the charging McLaren in the Rothko colours, the Gulf livery, orange and blue. So right now, not only is Ricardo Feller leading the Porsche battle, but he's also done an absolute best first sector. Top speed at turn 11, which is the corner they're turning into. Benji Goethe's McLaren fastest at 241 kilometres an hour. And again, Romain Andriolo's Mustang good on speed. Dan Harper is up there again, Valentino Rossi and Jim Pla. So BMWs and McLarens with 1 Mustang for cars to have. Here are the Ferraris coming up to the end of lap number 8. Alessio Rovera trying to build the gap once more over Dennis Marshall. And in real terms, because you can kind of discount Marshall from the second stint battle, the gap is between Rovera and Rossi, 1st to 3rd, and that now is 3.8 seconds. But Rossi to Ben Green, that's only 7/10. Valentino Rossi is hard at work, and so he needs to be, because Ben Green is bearing down on him.
Look how relaxed he is. Vision up, you won't see him blinking as he comes into this double right. He'll be tilting his head right, just trying to spot his apexes and then look through the left nice and early. Make sure you don't run wide on the exit and do a track limit there. Very easy to do for Rossi. We're talking about Rivera versus Rossi. It will come to pit lane as well. WRT versus AF course. I would say WRT historically have probably had a second on AF course in that pit stop. There won't be enough to swap, but it might close the gap.
So there is Rossi ahead of Green, and then you've got Ricardo Feller, but again, in real terms, Patrick Niederhauser is the next one in the queue, because that's another car that will run to a natural pit stop rather than a regulation time, and those times are going to be slower, just to make it, if you like, safer for the bronze-graded drivers to get in, to be strapped in without any worry, and then go storming back into the race. So the bronze battle will be a different look altogether in the second stint, because the cars are going to be slightly out of position from where they are now. But Ricardo Feller there, Sprint Cup champion outright in 2023 when he was an Audi driver, reminding people how quick he is. It is a shame that Feller doesn't have a Pro Cup drive, but it's always a delight to see him, especially given that he's a relative newcomer to Porsches.
Yeah, he's in a good shot window here, though. He's not doing any harm. Harper all over the back of verts still as well. And it looks like Feller really in the last couple of laps is the quickest car on track as an average as well. So he'll look to catch up to the back of that Ben Green Ferrari, the Emerald Frey run car, and try to dispatch him and then take after Rossi.
More and more track limits are starting to come now as the drivers push, and you can see once the light starts to go, it goes pretty quickly. There is number 80 then, Ricardo Feller. The fastest lap of the race is Alessio Rovera, who is pulling away up front. He's now 1.8 seconds clear of Dennis Marshall. Through goes 32 BMW, Charles Witt at the wheel. He's got Dan Harper bearing down on him, and then behind Harper is Jordan Pepper. Behind Pepper is Tom Fleming to round out the top 10. On board with Harper now, looking at the back of Witt, and this is where it becomes tough to overtake because the car's so evenly matched. And again, these are two BMW M4 GT3s. They're run out of different stables, but similar. But it does look, does it not, as though the two BMs here are getting closer to the Patrick Niederhauser Porsche, and we've got a couple of cars under investigation for a safety car infringement. They aren't going to affect what's going on outright for the lead. We'll worry about that if penalties come.
Look at this on board, it's amazing. That big screen in the middle, you've got the rear view camera. Slightly to the right, can you see the minus 00.08? That's his live delta to his fastest lap. So you can see gains a bit in the toe, under braking. See if the lights go red or green, that means he's gaining, losing. He's so consistent. He's doing that corner within a 10th of his best. His stint average so far, yes, we've only done 9 laps, very few under green, but he's the 3rd fastest man on track. So it'll be interesting, and the Paradigm team will be looking at that and going, we need to run down as long as we can, but he's being held up.
He is a little bit, and that's allowing Jordan Pepper to get onto the tail of him as the leaders go by. Alessio Rovera building this gap then, 2.2 seconds now over the Dennis Marshall Ferrari as they drop into turn 1. Once again, with Valentino Rossi still 3rd, keeping Ben Green at bay. Interesting, though, that Niederhauser not only lost that place to Feller, but hasn't been able to stay with him. The Retronic car just hasn't got the outright pace.
We saw that at Spa, didn't we? They had a good result because of strategy more than anything else. Harper really forcing the issue here. And what a scalp for the Paradigm team that would be to get past the WRT car, effectively the works BMW.
Right, this is the battle for 7th. Let's have another look at what went on at the start. So this is coming from the drone out of turn 2 into 3. You'll see Chris Lulham's car go way out wide and then back onto the racetrack as the cars accelerate up towards turn 4. Now, have a look for the white BMW of Jens Klingmann, relative. It's already happened. He got into Martin, and Chris Lulham's car damaged as well. So it's all kicked off. You see Lulham out wide, and Klingmann, I think he did get lent on again, but only just as they went down that back straight. But as he said at the time, masterful avoidance by everybody else trying to find a way past. 27 is the Qatari Santalock Audi under investigation. Number 30 is the bright blue Silver Cup BMW out of the WRT stable. They're being looked at for a possible safety car infringement. Rovera, Marshall, top 2 Ferraris.
What I take from that drone shot is those cars have a value of €500,000 to €700,000, and there's just so much contact all the way down the field. But that's what you need in this championship. It's so competitive. You can't drive around and treat it like it's wrapped in bubble wool. You need to get your elbows out and get on the front foot if you want to get anywhere near a podium in whatever class you're racing in.
So we've done now 11 laps. What we haven't yet touched on is the fact that there are pit stops between 25 and 35 minutes of the race, and that means we're about 4 minutes away from a pit window opening. So some of the teams may well box early, pit early, in order to get out of traffic and see if they can buy some places. Others, like Dan Harper, who's quicker than his co-driver, will stay out for longer. In the Bronze Cup, you'll get the maximum out of your faster driver. Tom Fleming there in the McLaren, still hanging on to the lead of gold, and he's way up the road over Paul Everard. So the Gold Cup leader is 10th outright, and second in gold is 28th.
Yeah, he's had a very strong stint, and they've been massively benefited with the Verstappen.com car retiring. That was miles ahead of them on the grid. So going well for Garage 59 so far in that McLaren.
And in silver, Ezequiel Perez-Companc is the leader at the moment. Now, don't forget that he and Alex Arca have had a win. They won the first race at Zandvoort. As down the pit lane here is Ricky Collard, and that's before the window opens. So this is a problem by the look of it for the Barwell car, and big frustration for Ricky, then last year's British GT champion. Bit of a wobble from Tom Fleming, clips the curb, gets spat out wide, but just about hangs on to that. Still leading in gold, but tiny little slip being made there by the new to McLaren this year driver.
That will be a track limit as well. I think that will become his 3rd one, 6th one. They get a penalty, don't get reset in between the drivers here in GT3 either.
Right, leader's gone over the line. Rovera now 12 laps in the book. He's done the fastest lap of the race. He's not storming off into the distance, though. Dennis Marshall is trying to keep him honest, and Ben Green is not closing on Rossi. In fact, in fairness to Vella, he's managed to stretch that gap out again. So Ben Green in 4th place, but he's dropped back a little bit further now. And the spots of rain that we'd heard about, that doesn't seem to have come to very much either. So just teasing the teams.
Yeah, exactly. And track temp still above 30 degrees, so any spots would have evaporated pretty quickly. A lot of flies in the air. We saw that earlier on in the year, didn't we? And it was difficult for the drivers to deal with at times at Le Mans. And you can see Harper still pushing on, seems to have lost the advantage pace-wise over the BMW in front. Have we just worked the front tyre too much? This lap at the moment is faster than his best. There's that Delta looking at the dash as well. He's still quite low on traction control settings. Rev lights coming up nice and methodically. They'll be making sure. But Ben Green really under pressure, I think, from Fella. And Fella's having a mega run at the moment.
He really is, and he's taking Niederhauser and Wirtz with him. So, yeah, Ben Green dropping back into the clutches a little bit, having not been able to stay with Rossi. There is Patrick Niederhauser. I wonder whether that might be in early to get out of the traffic and put Sven Muller into that car. Wirtz might well do the same with Kelvin van der Linde, whereas Dan Harper will stay out for a bit longer. Ricardo Feller, again, as a bronze Cup entrant, he will stay long. And Dennis Marshall, likewise, maximising their usefulness for the co-driver. Now, we're not at that pit window yet. We've got another couple of minutes just under as the leader goes by. Alessio Rovera, 2.9 seconds now over Dennis Marshall, who's done an absolute best 3rd sector. You can see the headlights getting brighter. It's sort of brighter looking out of the window than it feels looking at pictures at the minute, but when the lights come towards you, you do start to understand just how penetrating they are.
Yeah, and you can see how much we're lighting up the rear bumper of Feller on board of Niederhaus here with the Rutronic 6th overall at the moment. Both in Porsches, the one we're looking at, but we're getting held up by that Ben Green Ferrari. Feller takes a load of curb and does a track limit on the exit to boot. We're on the headlight flasher now with Niederhauser. We're trying to get in Feller's mirrors and put him off into this big break into a very lazy apex. It's late and you can get it in. The top 20 all need to do at least one more lap before they pit. The window will not be open next time by yellow flag. Sector 1, it's the 888 car of Detroit. Front damage there as he gets going on the exit of 2. He's going to need to box. Expect the undercut to be strong here. Cars will want to box early, get another set of fresh Pirellis on, and then go again. So you've got to blink early if you want to gain some positions, and the undercut really is the strategy to be on, I think.
And Sven Muller, you saw there limbering up. He will take over from Patrick Niederhauser. I did suggest that he might be in early, Patrick Niederhauser, and with Sven Muller getting ready, and what Joe's saying about the undercut being important, and then it's all looking as though Rutronic will be in this time. Mathieu Dietrich, that you saw rejoining, new to GT3. We saw him in GT4 earlier on in the season, having a spin, but he has got back in the race. So despite all the dramas, only 3 have we lost. Arthur Leclerc, Chris Lallam, Jens Klingman, and the pit window will be open in 15 seconds time. So these cars can't pit yet. They've got to go round once more. It's only if you're towards the rear of the order that you can come in, because the pit window will be open in 3, 2, 1 seconds.
Yeah, I just wonder if Dietrich, it must have been the 88 Audi of Ogard. They were together as they came across the line. And we're hearing it was a gearbox issue for the Barwell Lamborghini. That would be a concern for the sister car as well. Is that just bad luck, or is that a problem across maybe all Lamborghini gearboxes here?
Right, teams getting ready for pit stops then. This will play into the hands of the bronzes because they'll be able to make some progress in that leading group. We have got Leclerc in, we've got Andriola's Mustang in, we've got also Max Ooston, who joined Max Ooston from the pit lane, and a 10-second penalty for number 27 Audi, the Qatari team car, for overtaking under the safety car. It's all happening. Pit window open then. So as you look down that back straight where the light is fading fast, there will be a number of cars in this time, but expect the likes of Marshall, Feller, Harper, also Spinelli and Dylan Pereira. They will go long to help their co-drivers who are the bronze graded, and the bronze means you are the lower graded, either the less experienced and or less successful. Ben Green touching the curb there, and he's having to work hard to keep Ricardo Feller at bay.
I think they're going to box Rivera. They do, because cars leaving pit lane were going to be on his outlap, on their outlap, getting in his way.
Yeah.
So they box. Marshall stays out. He could get held up by traffic. Rossi in pit lane, pushing all the way to the line. You can loosen your belts. One hand must stay on the wheel. You can't drop the window net, so we're not going to see any more of that, I hope. Green is in. Feller stays out like we expected. Wirtz, interestingly, stays out. I would have thought they would want the undercut, and some now getting to work.
Maybe WRT didn't want to double stack the cars, so if you bring Rossi in, you need to keep one out just to buy some space. So there to the end of the pit lane comes Valentino Rossi. Perfect place for the release because he just goes straight out and away down the pit lane. Behind, you saw Patrick Niederhauser come in to give way to Sven Muller. Away goes then now Vincent Abril in the number 51 Ferrari. Sorry, that was the Ben Green car. So Konsta Lapalainen. There now is Vincent Abril in the AF Corsa car. He wasn't delayed at all, I don't think. That was a decent stop.
Marciello's lost a load of time. Look at the gap there. The Ferrari here of Abril. It was new tyres for Marciello. I didn't see what went on this 51 car. The new tyres, if it's not new tyres on the 51, could be a swing of anything up to 5 seconds for that WRT, the 46 car.
Right, so away goes Abril now. That pit stop, 68.7 seconds. What about Marciello, as he will break the beam quicker, 68.6. He had that car had dropped back before the pit stop. I think the time lost was on track rather than in the pit. So by 1/10 of a second, the BMW stopped better than the Ferraris. You're on board here with Sven Muller, who is determined to try to find a way past Konsta Lapalainen on the exit. Sven Muller up the inside into turn 6, and he's got the job done, has he? Well, he sort of roughs up Lapalainen, but yeah, Muller goes through. He was racing in British GT at Snetterton last week, and we saw that he got his elbows out there as well.
Yeah, he was pretty brutal. That front bumper got a lot of work on his Porsche that weekend, and the side of that car, a bit of a wobble through 8. They're both on their outlap. This is the first time these drivers have driven today.
Yeah.
They haven't been in the cars, so your first attack is on an outlap in a GT3 car in the dusk. That's pretty epic from Muller to be on it that quickly.
Absolutely right. Charles Wirtz is in the meantime. Mauro Engel taking over now from Lucas Auer. Jim Clark is in. Matteo Gomez is in. Right, that is Charles Wirtz to give way to Kelvin van der Linde, the South African. New boots going on. We know that WRT are normally really good in the pit stop, so we need to see how this time fares relative to the opposition. Only 2 mechanics able to do those tyre changes, so it's pretty physical work. More of the pit boards being waved. You see the lollipops to attract the attention of the driver. Away goes van der Linde, and the next WRT BMW is the bright blue car of Gustav Bergström. Right, down the pit lane goes van der Linde. Is that stop going to help, and by how much? It's a long, long drive down the pit lane. The lights are flashing because the pit lane limiter is on. It's all part of that process. Van der Linde will wait till he gets to the pit exit line, and then he'll be able to accelerate away. There's a whole queue behind him.
Muller, isn't it?
It is going to be close. He accelerates away now, and the BMW will just be ahead of the Porsche. So BMW ahead now. It's gained track position, but Muller is on the outside line as they get down towards turn 4. The Porsche couldn't clear the BMW there, so he's got to slot back in. 67.6, another very, very good stop. Not the best yet, but a pretty good effort. The Rutronic stop actually was the best we've had, 66.9 seconds.
Yeah, for Sven Muller in that Porsche we're looking at right now. They've been quick all season in the pit stops, Rutronic. Nearly jumped them a couple of places just in the pits.
So while all that's going on, Dennis Marshall is the race leader. This battle then is Kelvin van der Linde in for Charles Wirtz, Sven Muller replacing Patrick Niederhauser, and Konsta Lapalainen, who has replaced Ben Green. Next one down the pit lane, Benji Goethe. We've now got an absolute best middle sector from Vincent Abril, who has taken over the car that led in the hands of Alessio Rovera. So Abril carrying on the good work. We'll give you the order once all the pit stops have cycled through, and the pit window's got another 5 minutes still to be open for.
Garage 59 going to work. Driver change has got to be finished. It is just about in time. Last tyre going on. Some teams finish on the front left, some going for the rear. The mechanic's not happy with the car pulling away straight away. We saw that car stall a lot at Spa 24. Seeing car 10 lose a wheel here. The rear right gets detached. Hopefully the barrier does its job and pushes it away. Luckily it should be able to get back to pit lane, but that will attract a penalty.
So look at all the sparks grinding the metal, and you can see the brake disc bouncing off the ground. So into the pit lane eventually does come number 10, says Argazzo then, but that was another car from the Silver Cup. Bad day for Boutsen. Number 9 after its earlier crash. He's in 35th place with Lucas Stoltz at the wheel of it. You're on board here with Sven Muller, still chasing after Kelvin van der Linde's BMW, but actually dropping away by a couple of lengths. Kelvin van der Linde wide coming out of 6th, but still looking good. So Dennis Marshall, Ricardo Feller, Dan Harper, Loris Spinelli, Dylan Pereira and Bastien Bus, the top 6. Gabriele Piana 7th, Arthur Rougier 8th. They're all Bronze Cup entered cars that they are driving, and they're all quicker than their co-drivers, hence they are staying out until the very end of the pit window.
Yeah, so we're going to have a big shake-up when these pit stops are finally finished. Muller doesn't seem to have the pace to stick the BMW. His rear-view camera looks like a horror movie.
Yeah.
At the moment, he's safe to lap a line of that Emerald Frey Ferrari behind.
Raffaele Marciello, fastest lap of the race, taking over from Valentino Rossi. First time we've seen Raffaele in a BMW in sprints. We've seen him in the Endurance Cup, but at the minute, he is the fastest driver in the race thus far. Right, a little bit further back, next set of headlights to concentrate on include Luca Stolz's Mercedes AMG headlights, but that's the on-the-road race leader, yet to make the mandatory pit stop. Dennis Marshall then, with Riccardo Fella 7.7 seconds back. It is Ferrari versus Porsche, and Dennis Marshall leading outright, and of course, from bronze, all the leading cars in the line are bronze because they've yet to stop. So the bronze lead is his.
And some quick math, he's going to be 20 seconds behind Vince Abril. Vince Abril 53 seconds behind this car at the moment, and this car needs to be in pit lane for 80 seconds as a minimum.
Right, that's the regulation time for the bronze cars. That's pit in to pit exit timing lines. If you're under that, then the data pretty much offers the news to race control and you're bang to rights there and then. So you can't really argue that. So the rest of the field comes through, including Riccardo Fella, and Dennis Marshall is in this time then. So the Ferrari bails out of the lead to put Dustin Blattner, the American driver, into the car. That will therefore put there Riccardo Fella and then Dan Harper behind him by 0.4 of a second into the notional lead of the race. This is Dan Harper's view. So they're battling for, at the moment, the lead on the track, but also for position within bronze, and Harper would like to clear that Porsche. Now, I would offer you in the second stint, Darren Lung is going to be faster than Gabriel Rindone in those cars.
Yeah, Harper was lucky there. Lamborghini, the 19 car, just leaving pit exit. You can see how close it was on the rear view camera. But yeah, this is an in-lap race for Fella in front, Harper here versus an out-lap of Blattner taking over from Marshall. So that could be a swing of a second and a half. The gap was 7 seconds. So this could easily be a 3-car battle for this class win at the end of this race.
So Dan Harper and Darren Lung, we know a good combination. You're riding on board with Dan Harper. Together with Darren, they won British GT 2 years ago. Riccardo Fella is quicker than Gabriel Rindone, and I would say that Darren Lung is quicker than Gabriel Rindone as well. And then Dustin Blattner, he's a very shiny bronze, taking over from Dennis Marshall. So the second part of the Bronze Cup battle is going to be really interesting, no doubt about that. So at the end of this next lap, when all the bronzes start to filter through their regulation pit stops, then normal service will be resumed, if you like. We'll get the Pro Cup cars back to the pointy end of the order. The race has still 26 minutes on the clock as you ride back on board with Dan Harper. They're coming up towards the end of the lap. Into the pit lane goes Fella, into the pit lane comes Dan Harper, and you see he's still working until now. You get to the speed limit line, stand on the brakes, and down the pit lane you come.
I love a pit entry like that. It's a street track, isn't it? Barrier either side. Harper having a bit of oversteer all the way to the line. It's now a race for the mechanics. They're close in pit lane as well. Lion Speed versus Paradine.
So out jumps Dan Harper. And Darren Lung, whose team it is, really. Simon Traves operates it for him. Simon, when he's not running the team, also a brisker Formula 1 stock car driver. Safety car procedure under investigation is the latest news to come out of race control. But pretty much now, if you're in the Bronze Cup, you're in the pit. So we're going to get a very different order come the end of the next lap of the race. So there you have going through number 58. That is now Louis Pret, still clear in gold. And as anticipated, of course, with its regulation time of 80 seconds, Dustin Blattner will lead in bronze, potentially, but in the overall order, a long way down now. As we've been saying, the bronze cars have to do a pit stop of 80 seconds, whereas all the other classes can be as quick as you like. So it's a natural pit stop for those, and inevitably, the Bronze Cup entrants fall down the order.
Yeah, it's a factor on. There's a swap in pit lane there. Paradine got that BMW service quicker than Lion Speed. So where are they going to be to Blattner? Blattner now is just about coming through a shot below us. And he's going to be clear, but that gap is going to be coming down at a rather alarming rate for the Castle Ferrari.
Right, let's see what happens in these remaining 24 minutes of the race then. We've got Renat Salikov just taking over from Gabriele Piana in another of the Bronze Cup cars, but Darren Lung is ahead on the pit stops of Gabriel Rindone. Right, so number 51 leads the way then, and it is Vincent Abril, who has taken over from Alessio Rovera. But in second place, there, Raffaele Marciello. And to the eye, that gap looks less than it did when it was Valentino Rossi in third on the road, chasing after Alessio Rovera. So we'll see what the gap is when they come across the timing line. But Marciello here is certainly going after Abril in a big, big hurry.
Yeah, I can see on my HH software that Marciello's average so far 0.3 of a second faster. So that gap has been coming down, and it now stands obviously well under what it was with Rossi there to Rivera. So this is definitely game on for the race win.
Over the timing line they will come then, and as they do so, there is the BMW, and the margin after 36.5 minutes is 3.9 seconds. So that's the starting point. 3.9 is the margin. Let's see by what it comes down. And Valentino Rossi knows that he's got a chance here of yet another Misano win. A drive-through penalty for 888 for causing a collision. That's lower down the order. That's the Duffier Ugard car. But Marciello on a mission now, but he's dropped a fraction of time in the first sector.
Yeah, that 888 car we saw damaged at turn 1, didn't we? The bumper hanging off, so it must have rear-ended someone. They come through sector 1, and it was Vince Abril slightly faster than this BMW, but now we're in the BMW sector 2. This is where it really starts to swing back in the favour of this BMW. We've got another BMW of Kelvin van der Linde behind Rossi, looking pretty happy with his work. It was more than 2 track limits, Valentino. You were close to it, and now Marciello only has 2 more lives to get to the end of this race, track limit-wise.
So there is Marciello turning his way through, and in fairness to Valentino Rossi, once he'd had that alert from the team, he did behave himself, so the car is still on the 3 track limit warnings from lap 5, even though we're now on lap 22. Vincent Abril then leads the way, sector 2. He's lost a little bit of time, so it's a bit cat and mouse this. And then in third place, you've got Kelvin van der Linde. So they've won big again on the pit stops, haven't they? Because they were, what, 6th before the window?
Yeah, exactly. And the pace of van der Linde looks strong as well, as we see the 63 Lamborghini against that 48 car. Now with Engel aboard, Auer had a pretty quiet first stint and a very average qualifying by their admission, but they need to get some points in the championship here, and they've gained some positions from where they started down in 13th, but at the moment doesn't seem to be able to do anything about the Lambo in front of Engstler.
So through they all turn then. You can see there, number 48, that is Maro Engel. Now that's a car that has also sort of regrouped, although in a way it's been flattered a bit by the bronze cars dropping out of the mix. It's up to 7th, but of course there were a lot of bronze cars ahead of it early on. Engel is now onto the back of Luca Engstler and looking for a way to find a way by as they come into turn 6 with 21 minutes of the race to go. It's been a busy race,
yeah,
and you get the feeling we're not done yet.
We're definitely not. Engel's bringing Kirchhofer with him. He's had a good pit stop and an opening laps. Louis Pret tucked up behind him as well as we go on board this Winwood Mann-Filter Mercedes here, powering out of turn 8. Kink at 9 into 10. We've been gaining on this Lamborghini. I wonder where it's strong.
Now let's quickly head to the pit lane. Valentino Rossi is with Alex.
Valley, that was a good old stint. Looks like you handed over a solid car as well.
Yeah, it was difficult because unfortunately we have 2 safety cars, and in the restart is very difficult with the pros because they have always that bite better, so I lose a bit of time. But after, my pace was not too bad, and now we are in P2, so it's anyway a good performance.
What advice did you give to Marciello when you handed it over?
I try to win.
Okay, yeah,
but you know, the Ferrari in front is a little bit too far, and also now the pace is very similar, so I think that will be difficult.
Good. Well, fingers crossed.
Fight for the podium.
Grazie mille.
So happy Valley, and let's see whether he continues to be happy. The gap is still 3.9 seconds, so it's actually come down a whopping 4 thousandths over the course of a lap. The top speed on the exit of turn 6, which is that corner, is currently held by Alex Arca's Audi, from Mathieu Villagomez Aston, Maro Engel's Mercedes, Bastian Bu's Porsche, and Josefo Vega's Mustang. So a real mix of cars and classes.
5 different cars in those 5 first positions, showing a variety of engine positions as well. So a good illustration from the AWS graphic there. As we go back to Van der Linde, like we said, they've done very well in the pit stop part of this race. Not the fastest, but quick enough to gain some positions to get them on this final podium position at the moment. Sven Muller behind was so close on the outlap of this car, but now is fading. And Van der Linde almost in a bit of no man's land here. Just needs to bang in some laps. We're safe on track limits, but there's no point using them up, because if there's a late safety car and it gets everyone together, you want to be there. The Lapalainen Ferrari, not with its full beam on, interestingly. I don't know if he'll know that. It's getting dark enough where you definitely want them on as a driver.
There going through is Louis Pret, who is 9th overall and leading in the Gold Cup, having taken over from the impressive Tom Fleming. And in the Gold Cup, second to the McLaren Gilles Magnus, the Rob Huff managed Belgian driver, ahead of Leonardo Moncini. And that's it in gold, because we've lost Ricky Collard, we've lost Jens Klingman, we've lost Chris Lullen. Real shame. So a bit of self-destruction has gone on in gold. As you see there, number 99, that's the silver leading Audi with the very rapid Alex Archer at the wheel. Alex always tries really, really hard. It's the family team, Tresor Attempto Racing, but Alex, very, very quick driver, and he and Ezekiel Perez Companca made a really good partnership. They drove well at Zandvoort. They got themselves together this year, well, in fairness, the back end of last year, really, when Ezekiel left the Mad Panda team to one side and concentrated on driving again. But yeah, they've worked well together, and Alex Archer, in fairness to him, knows that Audi inside out, as does the team now, so it's all gelling really nicely.
Really is, and all class leaders relatively safe from the second place car in those class. Archer's got to worry about Kobe Powell's 2 places back in the Aston Martin, but relatively steady. The gap is smaller between Darren Long in the BMW and Blattner in the Ferrari, but that was only really because of that one less pro lap for Marshall versus it's staying steady there. Marshall still on the back of Engsler here. We've got to run onto the back straight. We're going to see the performance difference. Engsler squeezing us all the way to the white line. This should be job done for Mauro Engel now.
Engel through on the inside going into turn 11, job done. Yeah, does it at 12 in fact. So Mauro Engel makes the move and through he has gone. So Engel's Mercedes looking rapid. He's chipping his way back up the order, the reigning Sprint Cup champion with Lucas Auer. So through they turn. And with, what have we got, 17 minutes on the clock right now. Not only has Engel cleared that Lamborghini, but he's getting away. And Marvin Kirchhofer is not that far adrift either. And Kirchhofer is bringing with him Louis Pret in the other Garage 59 McLaren.
Louis Pret, father on pole position in the Maserati GT2 earlier, finished first in class, second overall. And the amount of energy in Engel's car, I think these are just cars driving around circles, brake disc glowing, exhaust glowing, sparks coming off the skid blocks, even a bit of tyre smoke as well. These cars pushing on hard, and that has been a hard fourth, 6th place for that man-filtered Mercedes.
And I know it's a long day for everybody involved, but there is something magical about watching a race go into the night like this, isn't there? At any race circuit, whether it's an oval, whether it's a circuit like this, it just has a different feel as you go into the darkness. The lights start to have more of an impact, and the feel of the place changes as well.
Yeah, and almost romantic, I think, the way you're looking at me, David. Look at Kirchhofer, 18 places gained for that car. McLaren have really had a good race. 18 for him, 8 for Pret, 12 for Simon Gachet back there. Klimliko has done 23 in that Audi as well. So some big gainers, obviously some big losers as well. Lucas Stoltz sharing Maxime Martin getting turned around lap 1. The real shame to lose them early on.
Yeah, the Mustang has gained 21 places. Yusufa Vega at the wheel of it now. So they're going through is Mauro Engel. Then he's into the top 6. Next target, Consta Lapalainen. And the last lap for Engel was a 34.0. So he was quicker than Lapalainen. He's got quarter of an hour in which to get there. And the way that he's going suggests that he could possibly do it. Have a look at the fastest laps of the Mercedes. So the pace judge over the last 5 laps, most of them have been above the average in the class. Where he dropped below the average was because he got stuck in traffic and had to overtake.
Yeah, exactly. The 2 fast laps are the only laps he's been in proper clean air. So Engel is on a charge here, and that Emil Ferrari just hasn't got going. We never saw what Lullen could have done, but after a super strong quali, they've really sort of flattered to deceive in this race 1.
So through there goes Dustin Blattner. He is still leading in bronze. Second in bronze is Darren Lung. And third is Gabriel Rindon. So as I was suggesting, Darren Lung has certainly sorted out the Porsche in short order. So there's a car between them, because you've got Kobe Powell's Aston, second in silver, between the top two in the Bronze Cup.
Yeah, and that Porsche in front is a back marker. That's the 888, wasn't it? They got the penalty for contact, so that should get out of the way. But the moment, just pure pace, Blattner is pulling away from Darren Loring in this 991 car. And again, look at the delta. That's to Dan Harper. That shows you how fast these AMs are. We're less than half a second off Dan Harper, BMW factory driver, after 8 corners here at Misano. And we're going to start to get held up. Looks to the inside. Hopefully, with the power this BMW's got, we can clear the Porsche on this back straight. He's in an awkward place, so we're going to compromise our exit slightly here. Get on the headlight flashes, Darren. Just make sure that that Porsche has seen you, and we should be able to pop to the inside as we come through the kink of 9. We don't, and this is now time bleeding. Look at the delta now, 1.3 seconds. This is absolutely hurting any chance of a win. And we've lost a place. I think that's to an Audi, so at least it's not in class, but that shows you what traffic can do.
Does indeed. So Darren Loong still fighting as he accelerates away. It's Ivan Klimenko's Audi that will have nipped up the inside and gone past him. So the live gap is going to be a bigger one over that 4.8 seconds. And Darren Loong's BMW certainly taking a lot of energy as he comes then now under the lights, past the pits. It's almost completely dark now, isn't it, here as he goes through. There's a challenge made, though, there in the traffic, and that is Vincent Abril, the overall race leader, getting through the back markers. Abril is only 2.1 seconds ahead of Raffaele Marciello, so he's got to be bold now. That BMW chipping away with 13 minutes on the clock. Marciello 2.1 seconds back. And you can see here on board Sven Muller's Porsche number 96, Calvin van der Linde's BMW just up the road ahead as well. That gap was 1.5 seconds at the start of this lap as they come out of turn 10.
You can see the leaders relative to here on the Porsche. We're about to go through that into section now, so we're well behind now. 4th place, nearly 14 seconds behind those lead 2 cars. 51 is the Ferrari, then 46, the first 2 cars in shot. The Qatari Audi, the 3rd shot, not part of the party.
Eddie Cheever, Marco Pulcini's Ziggo Sport Tempesta Ferrari, 15-second time penalty for causing a collision. That, I assume, was with the number 1 Lamborghini, and number 112 McLaren, the CSA car of Arthur Rougier and Isaac Tutumla Lopez, a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. The lead gap then, 1.2 seconds still between Abril and Marciello. There is the BMW in 2nd place, turning its way then now up through turns 4 and 5, and with no back markers ahead now. Marciello needs to charge, and his last 5 laps have all been above the average in the class, because he is a man on a mission.
He really is, isn't he? Just going back to the Cheever penalty, all I can think is there that the contact on the way into 16 damaged Engelhardt's rear right, hence why he had a snap of oversteer, because I think the second contact wasn't penalty worthy. So let's maybe revisit that one.
So there's the Ferrari in the lead still. Vincent Abril doing what he needs to do to hang on in there. Doesn't have to win by a massive margin as long as he stays ahead. And right now, Raffaele Marciello's BMW, started by Valentino Rossi, is looking a little bit nearer. Comes up now towards turn 13, and then it's hard on the brakes for the hairpin at 14. He will turn through the corner in a moment. Down through the gears. Pushing up the curve goes Marciello, trying to shorten the lap as much as he can, buy back another 10th. Coming then down towards turn 16, BMW catching him. Let's listen to the Ferrari radio.
You have still 3 track limits, 3 track limits available.
So track limits are available, in other words, keep pushing.
Yeah, good communication there. He's only had 1 track limit, so he's got 3 lives if he needs to use it in the remaining 5 to 6 laps of this race. And then the 93 car also now getting a track limit penalty as well. So the Ziggo Sport Tempesta Ferrari goes from bad to worse as Rivera watches on, and so does Rossi, the start drivers for our lead 2.
So the gap, 1.3 seconds last time over the stripe. And in 3rd place still, Calvin van der Linde in number 32 BMW, ahead of 96 Porsche of Sven Muller. Maro Engel is now 5th. We saw him get past Engschler, but he's also got past Constant Lapalainen and pulled away there. Marvin Kirchhofer is behind Engschler and ahead of Pret, with Alex Arca 10th and leading in silver. The leading bronze is still Dustin Blattner, and he is in 13th place overall in the car that was started by Dennis Marshall.
Yeah, we're going to get a bit of traffic here. The 270 come to you. Aston Martin is potentially going to get in Abril's way here at some point, and Abril will want to be on the front foot and expect the team to try and help him out here. And the 270 car doing a mega job of getting out of the way. Baptista there not holding either of them up, but Marcello, the gap is closing.
It is indeed, and we've only got 9.5 minutes on the clock then, as it's Ferrari versus BMW. The BMW's WRT cars as well always seem to go well around here. It's a circuit that suits Valentino Rossi. There he is, it's his home track, and he's getting a little bit more interested in life, a bit more confident, because he can see that gap may well be under a second. This time it is. It's only 0.4 of a second as they go across the line. 9 minutes on the clock, 0.4, split the top two. Raffaele Marciello could be on for a hero's return to Sprint Cup here.
It really is on, and I think Abril's actually struggling with the car more than Marcello getting faster, and the rear of that Ferrari not looking particularly planted. Have they gone too high on the tyre pressures? Have the tyres fallen off a cliff? Marcello will now be looking to place the move. Where's it going to be? The back straight is an obvious place. He's able to look to the inside here. The Ferrari always strong with traction, mid-engine versus front-engine BMW. It's going to be a difficult move for Marcello. Abril will know this is for the race lead and will defend it as hard as he can.
Together they run then, as on lap 31, Ferrari, BMW almost nose to tail now.
And interesting, track limit wise, Marcello has 2 less goes. Not his fault, he hasn't done a single track limit, but he carried over here. Look at the speed coming in. We're now gaining 7, 8 kilometers an hour more. We're looking to the inside, and closes the door, but it's an opportunity.
It is indeed, and it also shows intent, doesn't it? Marcello saying, right, I'm not prepared to just sit here and take second place. The fact that he's been able to whittle away that gap shows the BMW has got the speed. Now Vincent Abril has got to make that as wide as possible for 8 more minutes, nose to tail into turn 16, up towards the timing line they come. And Valentino Rossi is as focused on the monitors as he was when he was driving, looking out of the windscreen of the car. Marcello looking to try and work out where the gap may present itself. Not at turn 1, it won't. So Vincent Abril led over the line by 0.243 of a second. It's Ferrari, BMW almost together. Raffaele Marciello, we know, is one of the best GT drivers out there. Thinks about the inside and look up the road. There's a back marker as well they're going to come across in a moment. Is this going to help or hinder the Ferrari? Tough times these for Abril. Look at the graphic just to reinforce the point that over the last 5 laps, quicker than the average in the class has been Marciello. Now they've got to dive past that slower car and go down towards turn 8. Vincent Abril makes the move late up the inside line. Good move through on the inside. Marciello goes by now. So you're on board with that BMW. Let's listen.
Yes, it's Abril, only 1 track limit.
Marciello almost into the back of Abril there. Now, which car has got better grunt coming off turn 10? It's the aero-friendly Ferrari versus the grunt-and-go BMW. Marciello in the slipstream. Is he going to pull to the inside? Yes, he is. Is there a gap? Yes, there is. Marciello elbows out, goes through. Side by side, he's got the inside line for the next corner. Raffaele Marciello leads. That was brave.
And the WRT garage goes wild. Even Vince Abril just thought he couldn't hold it, but he defended way too late, and Marcello already had the speed on it. Hard for the drivers in these conditions with how dark it is to exactly see the car, but he moved across too late. Marcello's speed, we saw the lap before, 7 or 8 Ks more, and he was a car length and a half, 2 car lengths closer as they exited onto the back straight. Easy move at the end.
So, over the line, new race leader, Raffaele Marciello. He's not a regular in GT3 machinery anymore. He's not a regular in the Sprint Cup. First time he's raced this car in Sprint. And Raffaele Marciello accelerates then now up from turn 3 ahead of Vincent Abril, who now is the hunter rather than the hunted. And this is how the lead changed.
Just popped to the inside. Abril then made a second jig. Marcello wouldn't appreciated that one, I don't think. We saw a similar thing, didn't we, between Marcello and the Rover BMW at Spa and another AF course Ferrari. It got physical there. This time the blows were relatively minor. Gets the car stopped, and I think Abril has nothing to reply with. We go on board. You watch Abril come midway and then has a second jig. Too late, and we have to take all the curb. 245 kilometers an hour at that point. Great driving by Marcello to keep his foot buried.
The Klaus Bachler Simon Birch Porsche being given a drive-through for causing a collision. So Marciello leads the way. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's have another listen into 46.
Amazing, Lilo, amazing. 4 laps to go.
Short and sweet, don't need anything more than that.
Absolutely right. So the field turning then up towards the end of the lap. And Marciello getting away now, so that margin is growing. They're going through as the gold leader, Louis Pret, and that car comfortably ahead in class, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's got a huge gap to Magnus in the Audi 16th in class for Magnus versus the 9th of Louis Pret. And Louis Pret's pace phenomenal, sticking with Kirchhoffer, who was on pole position, least we forget, at Spa 24 Hours. This has been a mega stint for the silver graded Pret there. He's just looking at Acker behind. He's looking pretty racy. He will want to try and get past. Yes, it's not full position, but Alex Acker, one of the fiercest racers out there, leading the silver class. And here's our bronze class leader. It's been a mega stint, ran second overall in the opening stint, and Blattner has really been leaps and bounds ahead of any other bronze this season and in this race.
Yeah, he's not been racing for that long, Dustin Blattner, but he's done a massive amount of miles, as we've got a yellow in the middle sector now, and it could well be for the 112 McLaren. It is, which has had a rotation up at turn 10, and he's getting going again now then. So that car has got his Tumno Lopez at the wheel. They picked up a penalty anyway, and now they've had a spin with 3 minutes and change on the clock.
Rear left puncture potentially as it rejoined. It's going
very
slowly,
isn't it? Yeah. Lopez back in the race, but trying to keep out of everybody's way. And now the car limps on, so the teams will need to be told. At least he's doing a very good job of keeping out of the way, but at some point his line will become the apex for a corner, so that's where the teams are going to get a little bit nervous. He'd probably be advised to park it. If it's going that slowly in the dark, it ain't going to achieve anything by way of a result. So there, Raffaele Marciello, he's had 14 career wins in the Sprint Cup, and 3 of them have been with Vincent Abril as his co-driver, and the margin between them now is going up all the while, 1.7 seconds. Marciello, you rule out at your peril. We know how good he is, and having fought his way into the lead of the race, he has got probably 2 more laps, maybe 3. He can just about ring out before the clock hits 0. Yellow in sector 2 as that McLaren limps on, may well even now have parked by the side of the road. Yeah, I think it stopped just at the end of sector 2 there, so that will be a concern for race control. 2.5 minutes remaining, so another couple of laps got going again. Interesting, the interior light on that normally only comes on with the pit speed limiter. There's something going askew there with that car. Makes you wonder whether the spin was caused by a failure. We're going full course yellow in 10 seconds, but the car has got going again now, so Niels Fittich, the race director, will be making all sorts of mumbling noises, to say the least, because he's called for the race to be neutralised for that car that was stationary, and now, having gone through the process, it's got going again. So the hope is that gets to the pit lane and it doesn't continue to be a problem. But the full course yellow called. Now, does he wait to see whether the car pits, or does he just release them? This is where being a race director is a pretty thankless task. Whatever you do, someone's going to moan. Yeah, definitely, and that car written off at Spa, so that's a new car to the team there at CSA, actually an old JP Motorsport car, so they only picked up last week, so they wouldn't have had the time to do the full prep they would have wanted to on that one. Full course yellow is ending on short notice, so the teams will be back to green flag conditions very shortly now, as the call is given to go back to green and everybody quickens the pace. Interesting, that forces us into the next lap being the last. It was close as a battle change there, sorry. Yeah, that's Mauro Engel having a go at Sven Muller then. So Mauro was on his toes on the restart, couldn't go around the outside of the Porsche, ducks up the inside, gets crowded, can't do it. So yeah, the pace of the race slightly slowed, as you say. That trips us onto the last lap then. This is for 4th in Pro. Engel trying one side then the other. That is a wide old Porsche, but Mauro Engel knows this is a good chance. He has a go on the inside coming into turn 16, and yet again gets a face full of Porsche. And this has been a really good stint for Engel here, and this is the last lap. They will both be fighting for every last point. Let's forget the championship. Engel trying to go around the outside of one, inside of 2. And he's going to do it because he goes a little bit deep there and he moves himself up past Sven Muller. Mauro Engel, with some brave, robust driving, makes it stick and pulls away. That Mercedes much better in these cooler late evening conditions than for the rest of the day. And was that a flash on the lights by Muller? A little bit aggrieved by all of that, I fear. It was the second flash. He was on the flash before the move had even finished on the exit of 2. He must have felt that Engel was roughing him up before that. I thought there was a slight tap and run at 14. I wonder if Engel was fully on side as they came into. Was he on the track? One person who won't care at all is Raffaele Marciello. Yes, it's a German car, 2 Italian drivers. One of them has had a stint that has been phenomenal in Marciello, and the other one, Valentino Rossi. So Raffaele Marciello doing a really good job in this race, fighting back to make up for the ground that was lost by Valentino in the first stint. And Marciello is going to bring that car home then as he turns now up to the last few corners. It's not going to be Valle behind the wheel, but the crowd care not, because their car, if you like, that was started by Valentino Rossi is going to win this 5th race in GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup on Misano soil. Yet again, a win for Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello, their first win together as a combination, and it is a 3rd Misano win for Valentino Rossi, a 15th Sprint Cup win for Raffaele Marciello, and an excellent job done for the WRT team. Raffaele Marciello's first win with BMW, as I say, a 3rd win for Valentino Rossi, all of which have come here, and a 10th Sprint Cup win as well for BMW, and a 53rd Sprint Cup win for WRT. The numbers just keep on falling, but there's more to come, in as much as we've got Louis Pret winning in gold with Tom Fleming, Alex Arco, Ezekiel Perez compact win in silver, and Dustin Blattner and Dennis Marshall win in bronze. You could argue that was never in a massive amount of doubt, but a great drive by both of them. And Valentino Rossi, who is only doing occasional races in the SRO paddock this year, well, it was worth doing this one.
It really was. We spoke to him, didn't we, 15, 20 minutes ago, and there was no chance of winning. Pace was too similar to the Ferrari, and then suddenly this man Marciello, and he also didn't do a single track limit, and that at Misano is phenomenal. That's like when you've got an addiction trying to steer clear of it, and he has done that. The track limits that Rossi gave him, of course, but what a stint.
So delighted Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello.
Hello, that's a victory. Well done, mate. Back to back for Valle also. Well done, mate. Oh.
Yeah, congratulations everyone. Yeah. Sorry for the pit stop, but yeah, I want to know what happened because I was ready, but I did something wrong for sure. But yeah, congrats to everyone. Very good job. Yeah, very good job.
So Raffaele Marciello apologising for the pit stop, saying, I want to know what went on because I was ready. Well, it was still a decent pit stop time, even though we rather feared some time had been lost. But we might need to have another look at that. He will have a look at it as well. But the Rossi posse absolutely over the moon. And as the point has just been made to Raffaele Marciello, that is a year and a win for the last 3 seasons. This year, last year, the year before for Valentino Rossi. He's just been congratulated by Vincent Voss, and then by Yves Wirtz, and then by everybody else that can go and congratulate the great man. And where better to do it than his home circuit of Misano.
And in the most competitive GT championship in the world. And we miss him not racing full-time as well.
Yeah, indeed so. But it's always good to have him, and fascinating to see how he has come through as a racer. That first year driving for WRT when it was Audi's, and then the last 3 seasons in BMWs. He loves this place. The fans love him. And it's going to be quite a party tonight, you get the feeling. Tomorrow, never mind about that. We've had a win today. So there is the winning car, both in Pro and, of course, overall. The other class winners will arrive at the required place down in the pit lane. Winners' hats will be presented to the drivers, interviews will be done, and then the podium beckons. Louis Pret arrives in the Gold Cup winning McLaren, and Raffaele Marciello, the least demonstrative Italian there is. Everything seems so languid. First man to congratulate him, in fact, Stefano Ortelli, his new Monaco neighbour, and Raffaele Marciello doesn't leap out of the car, doesn't punch the air, just quietly goes about life. Remember a few years ago when he won in Valencia with Timo Bogoslawski, and the question was put, how many wins is that this year? And Raffaele said, I don't know. It just washes over him. But that one might mean something when he sees the reaction of the Valentino Rossi fans.
Yeah, not a bead of sweat.
No.
Looking very relaxed, but yeah, racing under the Swiss flag. And there we go, a lovely reaction. And of course, everyone shows their emotion differently. Internally, he will know he has just been the best man around this Misano circuit. And that Gold Cup car, interestingly, no gold-rated drivers in that car, all silvers.
Indeed, but Raffaele thinking, anybody from my team like to come and congratulate me? Where are you all? They're all so busy congratulating Valentino Rossi that nobody as yet has got as far as the winning car, which, as you can see, is not at either end of the pit lane. It's under the podium, so the team with a bit of a walk to get up there. But well done. That was quite a performance by Raffaele Marciello. Vincent Abril vanquished, as you see Tom Fleming there with Louis Pret, the Gold Cup winners. Tom Fleming was a real star in Ferrari Challenge a couple of years ago. with Alessio Dono as his main rival. Then they teamed up last year in Ferraris and come through Tom Fleming and Louis Pret to win gold here.
Yeah, he looks pretty tired, Louis Pret, doesn't he? Must have been pretty hot in the car for that stint of his, and they'll be very happy. And good job by Tom Fleming at the start as well, getting a load of positions, kept the car clean. Good job, Garage 59 on the pit stop, and still we're waiting for some WRT mechanics. They are the furthest garage away in their defence.
Oh, okay then, all right, we'll let them have that. First win of the season for Garage 59, and therefore a first Gold Cup win for Louis Pret and Tom Fleming. So that gives us 4 different Gold Cup winners out of 5. Emma Ladderman there leads the troops from the WRT garage up towards the winning car. Valentino Rossi celebrating still, and somewhere Raffaele Marciello says, "Okay, you made it, have you?" There, an embrace between the two. So not a bad start to the partnership, eh?
Really good. And it'll be interesting to see how Rossi sees Marciello in the food chain with all the teammates he's had. He's very different mentality-wise.
Yeah. Well, Valentino Rossi then will, in a moment, once he's posed for photographs, do a quick hat change, hopefully. And then he might find time in his busy schedule to come and talk to us at the end of a great race. All the photographers, I think, are huddled around that car. And there, Valentino is going to leap up atop it. Raffaele Marciello joins the celebrations. Nobody celebrates a win in this championship quite like Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, you could see he was itching to stand on that car, and then Marciello begrudgingly followed him to sit on it. And yeah, you're always scared as a driver the damage you could do, windscreen and roof. The mechanics always wins, but that's how much it means to the doctor.
Does indeed. And that win was just what the doctor ordered, I think. So they slide themselves off the car. Right, we're determined to get this interview. Alex has got her elbows out now. Let's hear from them. All yours, Alex.
GT World Challenge powered by Raffaele, don't run away. Powered by AWS. Vale, you did it under the lights, your home race in front of all the fans, again and again and again. Here we go.
Yeah, so Lello did a fantastic job. It was like a train. Sincerely, already from the beginning, I know that he can do it. And great congratulations also to the Ferrari, but Lello was faster, and so it's good because during the season we suffer a lot in the WEC Championship because we are not so fast. So win like this is Misano is great, is special, and this championship is fantastic.
You've really proved yourself, Raffaele. My goodness me, what a stint that was. What point did you know that it was going to be your chance to take that overtake?
No, I told Vale yesterday, if you qualify top 4, we win the race. So he did P3, so no. No, I mean, I saw that the Ferrari was quite quick at the beginning, so I was not catching. Then suddenly, I don't know if they had an issue or something, they slowed down a lot. They lost a lot of pace, and there I saw I had a chance. So yeah, then it's amazing to be back in the sprint championship. I love this championship, so yeah, it's very nice to have the victory here. I fight many years WRT when Dries and Charles was always winning and me and Timur second, so it's nice now to be in the other side.
You boys, what a great pairing you are.
Yeah, we are a good pairing. Yes. I hope that we can race together as much as possible.
Grazie mille. Congratulations. Enjoy that podium.
Valentino Rossi could read out a shopping list and he put a smile on your face. The enthusiasm is infectious, isn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't rain, does it? It just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and what a performance by both and the WRT team.
And I know we keep saying it, but every time you see Valentino race as a GT driver, he's better than the race before and the race before and the race before. You know, you now think of him as a GT driver, not as 9 times a motorcycle world champion, which of course is where he made his reputation and it's where the fan base has come from. But you know, he has made a very, very good transition. Maybe that Audi season wasn't the best, but it was a tough baptism, but he's just got better and better and better. Let's hear from our Gold Cup winners, Tom Fleming and Louis Pret, with Alex right now.
Gold winners, Louis, my goodness me, after what was heartbreak at Spa, this feels like redemption.
Finally, we have a race without any problems, any issues, so I'm super happy. The team did a great job. He did a fantastic job in the opening stint. I mean, gaining 10 places was pretty insane, and I just had to bring it back home, and the car was really good today, so very happy.
Yeah, that opening stint, it must have been chaos from your perspective.
Yeah, it was just a party of carbon confetti, really. Just everywhere you look, there was just shunts going left, right and centre. All you need to do is just keep your nose clean. So, after that, it was a bit more back to a normality, just following in a train, and then pass over to Louis, and he did mega job, absolutely mega job to bring it home. And yeah, P1 in class, P1 in gold class, and inside the top 10 from where we started. Given how we were looking in qualifying, we'd absolutely take this result. So,
really well deserved, boys. Congratulations.
It is well deserved, not only for the two drivers, but for the team. Tom Fleming did the daylight work, if you like, and then Louis Pret had to bring the car home in the dark. You see they're running wide off the track, so the line for the corner can be sort of straightened, and proof of how the drivers attack the circuit. A silver win for Alex Arca and Ezekiel Perez Compact from class pole.
Boys, my goodness me, when we spoke on the grid earlier, it didn't sound that particularly likely, or you knew it was going to be a tricky race, but how tricky was it for you?
Yeah, so the start was a bit of a mess. I think everybody saw it was a bit of a carnage. I think emotions were really high. The heat maybe played the game in that, but yeah, luckily we managed to survive the first stint. And then Alex, yeah, did a mega job to close the race. So yeah, really happy with this result for the team, for everybody, because yeah, we've been working so hard, and this is what we deserve.
Yeah, it is what you deserve, and must make you feel very confident going to the second half of the season.
Yes, it is, indeed. And yeah, I think we made a good job. Eze, obviously, with the polling class, very good job again to you. And yeah, I must say the car's working just fine. I don't know what the guys were just hiding and finding over the last couple of rounds, but we seem to get the pace done. And yeah, as I said before, we just hold the four rings up. So, thanks.
Congratulations. Well done, boys.
An excellent job by Alex Arca and Ezekiel Perez Compact. As you see in super slow-mo, that winning Audi, the orange one, Trezor Attempto racing car, and Alex Arca's dad, Arkin Arca, who made his name initially through Attempto racing, running very successful Porsches in Super Cup and Carrera Cup Germany, have been a good Audi Sport customer over the last few years. And although that car might not be the youngest on the grid, it's well run and it's well driven. Now, let's not forget the bronze victors, because Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner came through as victors.
Dustin, Dennis, my goodness me, what a race that was for you. That didn't look easy.
Certainly not, especially since Dennis did such a fantastic job with qualifying and managing the pace up front. Certainly left quite a bit of pressure for me to bring things across the line.
That opening stint was hard.
Yeah, for some reason it was also a bit more physical than expected, even though it was a bit cool and everything, but we had to fight the car quite a lot. But yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun to fight a little bit, at least with Alessio in the beginning, but for sure it was a bit quicker then.
Great to see you on the podium, boys. Well done.
So a very good partnership they made in the Asian Le Mans Series, and it's carried on through GT World Challenge Europe this year. Dustin Blattner, the much-travelled American driver, and there you can see his company adorning the side of the Kessel Racing Ferrari, Ronnie Kessel's team. Right, drivers are heading to a podium. Let's have a look at the result. Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello, the winners by a second and a half from Alessio Rovera and Vincent Abril, Charles Wirtz and Calvin van der Linde third. Off the podium, fourth, Lucas Auer and Maro Engel, ahead of Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Müller. Sixth to Benji Goethe and Marvin Kirchhofer from Ben Green and Konsta Lappalainen. Then Jordan Pepper and Luca Engschler with ninth. Tom Fleming and Louis Pret winning in gold, and 10th winning in silver, Ezekiel Perez Compact and Alex Arca. And 16th, the winning bronzes, Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner. We started with 43 and we had effectively 36 of them make it to the end. So it was quite frantic early on. A word for Maxime Martin and Lukas Stolz. Remember how they got turned into the barriers early on? Well, they recovered to finish in 20th place. That is pretty commendable, given how bleak their chances looked early on. Right, let's get to the podium. Drivers are there. You see Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Wirtz for third place. For second place, Vincent Abril and Alessio Rovera, and Raffaele Marciello is going to step forward in a moment with some bloke called Valentino Rossi, who will get a huge cheer, no doubt. For the third year in a row, Valentino Rossi is a winner at Misano. He'll leap onto the top step of the podium, and for Team WRT, it is yet another win in sprint. Valentino Rossi is all smiles. Raffaele Marciello, as we say, he's never the most demonstrative of Italians. And now that he's taken Swiss nationality, you saw the Swiss flag on the overalls earlier on, but he's always so laid back. The trophies being presented by Matteo Braga of Pirelli, to Charles Wirtz, to Kelvin van der Linde, to Vincent Abril and Alessio Rovera, who doesn't look overly pleased, but at least it's a podium result to compensate for a 19th, a retirement and a 14th of the last 3 races.
Yeah, it will hurt though. I think Vince Abril will watch that back and think, could he have done anything different with his defence?
And for the winning team, there is the team's trophy, yet another one for WRT, and then the trophies to the winners. For Valentino Rossi, for Raffaele Marciello, the winners' trophies at Misano. For Vale, a 3rd victory of his Sprint Cup career, his GT racing career, 3rd outright win. He was a class winner, remember, in the Le Mans Cup race at Le Mans 3 years back, but a great job done. Raffaele Marciello taking a 15th career win in sprint alone, never mind all the endurance cup races he's won, or German GT or IGTC or whatever. A great job done by both, and they will now celebrate in style. Everybody turns on the winning drivers, soaks them, and Valentino Rossi cares not. That is a genuine, big grin. We talk about the length of the pit lane here. Well, it's almost as long as the smile across his face.
Yeah, and it must be such a relief coming into a weekend like this. The pressure he must feel with the support he's got. Yeah. Yes, it's phenomenal, but everyone here, pretty much here to see him. He will want to perform and deliver, not to let himself down, but everyone else here supporting him.
And a big glug of the champagne. Well done, Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello. It's always tempting to talk about the Valentino Rossi BMW and to major on the start turn, but you know, as much of that win, okay, yeah, a lot of his good pace early on, the qualifying pace, but a lot of that was down to Raffaele Marciello. He was the one that got the lead. Yeah,
it was a perfect stint. I couldn't pick fault with anything, and the only fault he could pick was with the WRT pit stop, so it'd be interesting to know what the dialogue was there, but he apologised for it straight away, whatever he said.
Well, the winning drivers making their way off the podium, and this is how we now look in the championship. 7 points between Kelvin van der Linde, Charles Wirtz, BMW, and the Lucas Almaro Engel crew in the Mercedes. And they're only a point up now on Sven Müller and Patrick Niederhauser. Benjamin Goethe and Marvin Kirchhoff, 4 from Vincent Abril and Alessio Rovera, 6th Luca Engschler and Jordan Pepper, with 8th now Raffaele Marciello and Valentino Rossi. So 3 more podiums to come. We've got gold and silver and bronze, of course, still to look for. But going into tomorrow's race, 7 points then, splitting the top 2 in the championship. And almost every season we talk about the number 32 entry through WRT fighting for a championship. Well, it's happening again, and with last year's Sprint Cup champions at Winwood Racing. That's a quick look further down in the Pro Cup. Not scoring today, Arthur Leclerc and Thomas Neubauer after that damage and the puncture. Back to the podium then, because there are your Gold Cup winners, Tom Fleming and Louis Pret. Good day for the Prets. Dad had a class win. Son has a class win. One in a Maserati, one in a McLaren. And they are joined on the podium by 2nd and 3rd. A win for Garage 59, the British team. So good result, of course, for Garage 59. It was the Gilles Magnus Paul Everard Audi 2nd, and Leonardo Moncini coming through for 3rd place in the Tresor Attempto car with Sebastian Ogard. And again, Matteo Braga is ready to present the trophies. Pirelli, of course, huge supporters of GT racing. They provide the tyres this weekend here for GT2, for GT3, for GT4, and a huge infrastructure coming to each of the races to look after all the customers. So first victory of the year for Garage 59 in gold, and after coming so close but losing out at Spa makes some consolation at least.
Yeah, really well. And, that'd be an interesting pair to see if they continue to the rest of the year now, Fleming and Prep, because that is a perfect start to that revised lineup in the 58 car.
Yeah, which was Louis Pret and Adam Smalley, wasn't it, at the start of the season? But Tom Fleming drafted across. So a successful debut. And Tom Fleming then standing happily on the top step of the podium after hurting himself at Misano a year or so ago. But it's good to have him back and going so well. Racing also this year in Le Mans Cup. So Tom Fleming celebrates, and great result for the very quick British driver who hasn't really got much of a profile back home because he started his racing in the European Ferrari Challenge, which doesn't get a huge amount of traction in the UK, and then coming into GT3 racing in Ferraris. But trust me, he's a very quick driver indeed, and a name that no doubt will continue to be talked about in GT racing.
Yeah, managed by Matt Griffin as well, so well looked after, and I'm sure he will continue to rise through the GT ranks.
So the Gold Cup drivers go to get their overalls dry, ready for tomorrow. A qualifying session early in the day, of course. In the championship, despite not scoring, Chris Lallam and Thierry Vermeulen still lead from Gilles Magnus and Paul Everard, and Sebastian Oegaard and Leonardo Moncini are third. Louis Pret now is fourth, half a point up on another non-scoring duo, Jens Klingmann and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair. The absent Adam Smalley is sixth, and then a winning Tom Fleming seventh ahead of Arthur Rougier and James Kell. So quite a few teams with a lot of work to do overnight, with either mechanical or bodywork repairs to be done. So some of the crews are in for a tough night, as onto the podium there for third in silver, Lawrence Leclerc and Ivan Klimenko. There for second, Kirby Powells and Jamie Day. The Aston Martin drivers from the Comtu team, but the class winners for Tresor Attempto Racing are about to step forward, because after taking pole position, Ezekiel Perez Companc and then Alex Arca come through to win in the Silver Cup. To the top step they stand. Well done to the German team. Tresor Attempto Racing these days runs under an Italian flag, an Italian license, even though Arkin Arca, the man behind the team, is German, as is the son. So the Italian flag shown, as you see there. Kobe Powell's all smiles. He's had a tough baptism in GT racing. Comes from a good rallycross family. His father, Koen Powell, is very successful. Jamie Day has come out of the British sports car and GT scene. Started off doing a bit of Formula 4, but then went to GT4 in the UK, in America, Asian Le Mans, and won the GT4 Winter Series at the start of 2024. And then Alex Arca and Ezekiel Perez Companc received their winners' trophies and celebrate in style for the Tresor Attempto Racing team. Everybody huddles together on instruction for the benefit of the photographers down in the pit lane and on the podium. And in silver then, of course, with a separate qualifying session tomorrow to determine a standalone race grid. I think Ezekiel Perez Companc has made a run for it, trying to keep as dry as he possibly can, but everybody else celebrating atop the podium. And then the bronze podium will be next. Drivers ready for that as soon as champagne is ready. So happy drivers from silver. And then the bronze cup, which is a strange race in a sense, isn't it? Because you have, certainly for this race, such a big push early on and then a different look to it after the pit stops. This is how we are in silver then. Alex Arca, Ezekiel Perez Companc clear of Ivan Klimenko and Lawrence Leclerc with Cesar Gazo and Aurelien Panis retiring after the car lost a wheel. They are third ahead of Kobe Pavels and Jamie Day. Maxime Osten and Max Janssen from the pit lane in the end got to 24th overall. But that was 7th in the class. So the bronze podium is next. And yeah, the start driver in race 1 always involved in the lead battle because they've qualified the car and they're the pro drivers, but then the second stint, very different.
Yeah, and it'll be the opposite tomorrow, won't it? As the fastest finish that race.
Right, yeah.
So if there's a safety car around the pit window, you expect the bronze cars to get back in the overall fight.
Darren Lung, his daughter, and Dan Harper are on the podium. So also are Ricardo Feller and Gabriel Rendon, and all.
They got a penalty, didn't they, towards the end for a collision, so the 80 car
you're right.
dropped down. So it was actually the 85 Lamborghini in the end, in third.
Loris Spinelli, Dimitri Gvatseva, and now on the top step are Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner. So they can see Dimitri Gvatseva, who, as we were just saying, promoted to third with that penalty that came after the race had finished. I'm not saying the incident came after the race, but the penalty was applied after the race. And so Loris Spinelli and Dimitri Gvatseva take third, and they get their trophies now. Then Darren Lung and Dan Harper for second place at the other side of the podium. And Darren's got to juggle trophies and children now. But he's very strong as Angelo Comazetto from AWS hands over the trophies. And Darren, again, started racing only, 4 or 5 seasons ago, but boy, has he done the mileage in a short space of time.
Fully addicted to motorsport, and I think he's going to try hand that child over before she was about to get coated in champagne.
Shrewd move, I think that. Yeah. Bad form to have a champagne-soaked child, I think. Well done, Darren. Very savvy. Right, Dennis Marshall, Dustin Blattner take honours, and they are victorious for the second time this season. Our first double winners, therefore. Right, Dan Harper, Darren Lung pose with their trophies. Darren's eager with the champagne. Oh no, more photographs. A bit presumptuous there, Darren. Right, now he's ready. Go, bangs the bottle. Cork it. Oh no, so after all that, it's not happening for him. So now it works. And Darren Lung soaks anybody he can find, largely Dan Harper. But Darren Lung absolutely determined to join the champagne fight. Well done to all 6 of the drivers. Dennis Marshall gets it all in his eyes. Dustin Blattner celebrates as well. And that is a bronze battle that will continue tomorrow. So there's a separate qualifying session tomorrow, of course, for race number 2. And for the drivers, we look forward to seeing exactly how the second race pans out. Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner are ahead in the championship from Darren Lung, who's had different co-drivers in Brands Hatch and Zandvoort and Misano weekends. Bashar Mardini and Bastien Bous third. Augusto Farfus, who was with Darren Lung at Zandvoort, is next ahead of Isaac Tumla Lopez and then Arthur Rougier. So as the podium is all done, and suddenly Misano takes a sigh of relief and it calms down, we can remind ourselves of what happened a little bit earlier on when the cars blasted away in the daylight. And it was Alessio Rovera from pole position who led just ahead of Dennis Marshall as the cars wriggled their way through the first few corners of the lap. But then it got a bit busy coming out of turn 5, where 1 or 2 got themselves together, and there was a right old melee, out of which Maxime Martin's car was speared off the road, and Jens Klingman picked up a huge amount of damage. That also did for the Ferrari of Chris Lallam. That was a retirement. Everybody else able to dodge around the slowing Klingman car. A little bit later on, we had this incident when off the racetrack went Eddie Cheever. He got back on, but then got caught up with Christian Engelhardt and came across the front and got spat off into the barrier. Also out came the full course yellow situation, and on the restart, it was a very determined Dennis Marshall who tried to jump into the lead of the race, but it wasn't to be. When the pit window opened, Valentino Rossi relayed Raffaele Marciello, but there was something in that pit stop that didn't quite work. Something else didn't quite work over at Boost VDF, and that was the fourth wheel that parted company with the Cesar Gazzo Aurelian Panis Mercedes, and that limped into the pit lane. So, stint 2, Vincent Abril ahead of Raffaele Marciello, and it was a big battle which ultimately went the way of the BMW. This brave move by Lello up the inside, coming through turn 11 into 12, and the job was done by 13, Raffaele Marciello, taking the race lead for a 15th career victory and a third at Misano for Valentino Rossi. There's more to come in GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup tomorrow, but on day 1, well done Valentino Rossi and Raffaele Marciello.